2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the season finale of Hooked on Sonics. I'm Bruce. That's Tony. And we've got some very special guests to discuss all things, or most things, Black Sabbath. Welcome, everybody. Well, let's start with the first authority that we knew of as kids of everything Ozzy Sabbath, and that is our friend Theodore over there, better known to the ladies and the masses as Skeet. Skeeter.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Tell everyone a little bit about you.
I'm old.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, start with that. Yeah, I play bass. Not playing for a band right now, but been playing for 30 some years. So I know a little bit, just a little bit.
That a little bit.
Yeah, but I've been a huge Sabbath fan since I was like 4 years old.
Now, how did you get into Sabbath?
Well, the weirdest thing, I was watching wrestling, and a band called the Road Warriors came out to Iron Man. And I was like, I have to know that song.
Yeah.
And and obviously there was no internet, so I just started asking people and found out what it was, and was hooked from that moment on. So my brother's like 10 years older than me, so he had some stuff, so he showed me that stuff, and his friends had a lot of the albums. So
excellent. Good. I love it. All right, next we have Scott Playboy Stevens.
Guy Too Hottie. You may know me as.
The man with the golden voice.
That's all right.
No, sir, I do not have a golden voice.
Well, Scott, tell everyone a little bit about you.
Me. Okay. I've been playing guitar for about 20. This year would be 23 years.
Wow.
Slaves of Shiva was the first band I played guitar in. I played bass before that. Been in a few bands, as you know. Superphonic Theory. Played bass for them. Five Hand Gang, played bass for them. Slaves of Shiva was my first band where I played guitar. Made the switch over. And been with many bands since. Recently Hellfire Sinners, The Dead Scene, and now I got a new project yet to be named. That's some of the guys from Slaves, and it's going to be kind of that same vibe, heavy, stonery,
very
metal.
Cool.
But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Good deal. How did you get into Sabbath?
Skeeter stole my my story.
Yeah, I heard him what his story was, and I took it.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Road Warriors on TV and hearing Iron Man. Was like, oh, yeah. I may have heard Iron Man before that, but it was around the same time. And that just that riff, and it means like, what is this? Never heard anything like that before.
Right.
And hooked ever since.
Very cool. And there in the corner, from parts unknown, the one, the only Herman, the man Morris.
Big Herman.
Oh, we got my mic turned down. Is it up now?
There we go.
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Well, play guitar. Been playing since I was, I think, 19. I'm retired. Really not doing a lot. I sometimes record stuff on a little 4-track or 8-track just messing around. Nothing too elaborate, you know.
Yeah.
I do casting on Vaughn Live every Wednesday every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do a
Cool
couple
radio station. Nice little selection of music.
Do a couple podcasts a week. In fact, I did one earlier today. It was live, 1:00, and then I do another pre-recorded on Wednesdays.
Okay. What's the name of those podcasts?
The podcast is on it's Tavern Freeform or tavern.org, but we're getting ready to change it over to Tavern Freeform, and or TAVN stands for the Arts Validation Network. And then on Wednesday nights when I do the video cast, it's I go by Big Herm, and the name of the show is The Psychedelic Shack. Not all of it's psychedelic music, but it's like classic rock, psychedelic rock, metal. Well, very little metal, because a lot of the people come in, they don't like metal. They like hard rock, but very little metal. It's like a 2-hour show. Like you throw Metallica in there or something, or Sabbath, they go, oh, what's going on? What, Megadeth? Oh, no. No.
Very cool. And last, but certainly not least, in this merry band of men, we have Chuck D's Nuts. And how do you say your last name?
Well,
Just Nuts?
The real version is Gansheimer. In German, I guess it means the whole house.
We
But
just call
how
it
big
Chuck
they are.
G.
Just Gans or GZ, whatever.
GZ.
Chuck.
There you go.
I always
Maybe I
refer to him as
use
Chuck
them
G's.
friends. Yeah, there you go.
So every time I see that guy play, I go, geez. Every time you see his
Chuck, tell
pedal
us-
board, you go, geez, fuck.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about you, my friend.
I've been playing guitar for a little over 30 years. First good band was Black Winter, which I opened for Skeet's band back in the day a couple times, 3 times, I think.
Yep.
I got him
Wow.
on video too, Skeet, I think.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
And then we had Obscene Noise, which was kind of a hodgepodge grindcore type of thing. And then me and Greg from Beyond Neptune, who since Black Winter we've been playing together, so that's about 30 years. But like we had some 2-man projects and things like that, and then put the Beyond Neptune thing together, and we're still doing that. Just
How
put out
how many years has Beyond Neptune been active now?
active live.
Active at all.
Oh,
Since its
okay.
inception.
So we started recording demos in 2015,
Okay.
but we didn't start recording until like mid 2016.
Okay.
And then we didn't start playing shows until late 2018.
And you guys handle all your own recording and stuff, don't
What's that?
you? You guys handle all your own recording and stuff, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yep, sure do. Trial and error. Lots of learning.
Very
True
cool.
starving artist.
If you're not starving, you're not doing it right.
Yep, yep. Feed me more.
That's right. Chuck, how did you get into Sabbath?
Is this some kind of conspiracy or something? Because the other 2 guys stole my story.
And
I wasn't even asked that question.
I know.
WrestleMania 10
Yeah, you
going
didn't ask her.
over here
I'm not
on
a
the computer.
professional.
Road Warriors, same thing. Yep, exact same thing. I'm a big wrestling nerd, and just when I was a kid, that opening drone bend thing that he does is just iconic, and it always stuck in my head, and I had to find out who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Road Warriors.
sorry. I figured you just created the Road Warriors and you told them, hey, play this song of this band I just discovered. I figured that's what it was.
No, but
Only
Herb, how
five
did
points
you
up.
get into Sabbath, man? What got you into Sabbath?
Well, okay. It was a Friday night. A buddy of mine was coming over. We were going to go record shopping. My intent was to go buy BTO, whatever it was at the time. I think 1975. Well, he comes over, Rick. He says, "Yeah, let's go over here, Stonehenge Records or someplace." It was like a head shop also. We go in and he goes, "Well, who are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna get some BTO, Black Return Overdrive." And he says, "Oh," he goes, he goes, "Is that the heaviest you like?" Or he goes, "No, I'm looking for something heavy. I mean, I want something heavy." He says, "Oh, well, if you want something heavy," and he reaches over, says, "Maybe you ought to listen to this."
Paranoid.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I said, "I've never heard these guys," and I hadn't at the time. And I had seen at Kmart and places Master Reality, but I hadn't seen Paranoid. But I'd heard Black Sabbath, but I never heard them. I said, "Well, I don't know." He goes, "Man," he goes, "buy this album. This is what you want to hear." I said, "All right." So we got it home. I put it on, and the first song, of course, War Pigs. I'm like, "Wow, what's this? This is this is what I want." I said, "This is a lot better or a lot heavier than Bachman Turner Overdrive." He said, "Yeah." I went
Smidge.
like, "Yeah, this is it. This is what I want."
Yeah. Real heavy metal. You
And
know?
that's how I got started. And that's the same album.
Oh,
Wow.
That's awesome.
550 or
that's a really impressive.
599 at I think it was Stonehenge Records.
Wow.
Nice.
you said 1975,
Yeah, that's when I bought it.
my year of birth. That's
Mine
awesome.
too.
Same here.
That's
Same
awesome.
here.
Nice. Well, now that we've
Now,
exposed
Herman, let me
Herman's
ask you.
age,
What'd you say, Tony?
now that we've exposed Herman's age.
Sorry, Herm.
Yeah. Well, you probably
He's
figured
the
I was
Mick
old when I
Mars of
said
the
I
group.
was retired. You know, that should have gave you a clue.
Yeah, maybe.
This guy's retired. He's
Now, Herman, I'm going to ask you a side question because you were there. Um, from the best that I can really recall, there was nothing else as heavy as what Sabbath was putting out at that time. Late 60s, early 70s. The only thing I could kind of relate it to was maybe some Cream, maybe, as far as like the grooves and stuff like that. But nothing really out there was as heavy as what Sabbath was putting out.
I would argue
Do
that.
you
Deep Purple was kind of heavy.
Do you remember it like that? Yeah.
Deep Purple was kind of heavy in those years.
I would argue all that all day long.
There's a band called Pentagram that they were definitely inspired by Black Sabbath, but around 1972.
Are they in the
Pentagram.
Pittsburgh area?
I don't know.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh no, I think like Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Virginia. Yeah, Pentagram.
I've heard
and
of
then
them. They got a
Demon was like the
documentary. They got a
same
documentary
band.
on Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby Cleveland.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So I would retort on this and go, while Sabbath definitely had that darker side, right? I think it's undisputedly agreed among scholars and musicians that the evolvement of heavy metal generally came from Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin may have not had the big creepier, doomier stuff, but they did write some pretty doomier stuff. Dazed and Confused is a really doomy riff.
It sure is.
Dazed and Confused is a really doomy riff. All right. So another band that I would argue during that time frame that I like, and I don't know that they may have been around as beforehand, that they may have came after. And I think we can all agree on that one too. Blue Oyster Cult. They wrote some pretty doomy, heavy, groovy riffs, and I know
I'm not sure when they came around.
You got to throw some Blue Cheer in there.
Blue Cheer, yep, for sure.
Not super doomy, but can be drony and definitely heavy.
Very.
And that was
Hmm.
actually, I think that predates Sabbath by a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
What
So, I
about
mean, I
Iron
think-
Butterfly?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
They were
that's
kinda
a good
coming
argument
in-
too, dude.
Yeah.
I think Iron Butterfly was dubbed the first American metal band from
Really?
that time.
They
I think
may
I
have
read
been.
that somewhere.
And I would have to say that I recall that as well. Which I
Not
found
first,
very
not first metal band, but first American metal band.
Hmm.
I'm not.
Gotcha.
Then
well. But hold on, you know, we're skipping a whole nother group of guys that were probably around during that time. Out of that new British wave of heavy metal,
Judas
Judas
Priest.
Priest. Come on, guys.
Well,
No,
I think-
no,
That
I'm
was
saying
later
well,
than-
Judas
when
Priest came
Sabbath
later in
came
the
out.
70s.
Yeah.
1974, Judas Priest's first album, Rock and Rolla.
Which
When was
kind of
British
was,
Steel released? When was British Steel released?
1980.
yeah,
1980.
Yeah, I was gonna say 79 or 80.
Living After Midnight, wasn't it? And Heading Out on the Highway or something was, I think, with radio tunes.
I think it's safe to say there were a lot of heavy bands coming in around that time, but none of them that held the prominence of what would be considered what Sabbath done. Because I mean, if you take these other bands by way of comparison, aside from Led Zeppelin, you're not going to find anybody that had as many hits consistently throughout the number of years that they were active.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But my
I-
question
I-
is,
name
where did they
5
get the
Iron Butterfly songs.
airplay? Where did they get the airplay? Because you had AM in those days. You didn't have a lot of
Yeah.
album rock stations, or maybe there was, but I never did hear Sabbath on the radio.
Well, dude, it's like you said. You went to
I didn't hear
record store and
FM
said,
until
"I
like
want to hear something
75.
heavy." Well, Herm, you said it's like you said. You went to the record store and said, "I want to hear something heavy." So you had to catch it from word of mouth. I don't listen to the radio. I have a hard time listening to the radio, knowing that it's controlled by government bullshit. It's what the government wants you to listen to, and I am so anti-establishment. It's insane. So, with that being said, I've always searched on my own accord for music, or I'll ask other musicians and friends that love music as much as I do. I mean, Scott's turned me on to a ton of shit. Skeet's turned me on to a ton of shit. You've turned me on to a ton of shit. Chuck's really opened my eyes to a lot of really cool fucking black metal. And Herm has turned me on to a bunch of fucking shit. Bruce, you and I have been doing this since we were teenagers. You would probably not even be the Kiss fan you were today had I not placed Destroyer in your face.
That is true. And thanks to Schottenstein's lack of security guards.
I don't want to get into criminal activity over fucking CD. Let's not do this. I can't have this discussion on another date. Let's have this discussion. I will tell you a great story about an adventure into Hearts for Injustice for All.
Hell yeah.
The Heart near the graveyard?
Hearts over on West Broad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearts over on West Broad.
Lincoln Village.
I thought maybe the one at Central Point.
It was a bad day. I walked in, just to put it short. I'm not a thief. I've never been a thief. I've never been big on being a thief. But I hungered music so bad at that time in high school. Metallica was the big thing, you know. And I had the Black Album. I had Kill 'Em All, and I went in. No, I had Master of Puppets. I went in to get Kill 'Em All. Had no issue getting it out of the store. Said, damn, that was fucking easy. Went back in the fucking next day. Said, I'm going for Injustice for All.
Now, 7 years
Down, did my thing.
Yeah, 7-year limitation.
Dude, the security guard jumped out in front of me as I was heading out the door. He said, I'm with Harp so-and-so security. I'd like to have my fucking cassette back because it's probably a cassette or a CD. And I said, I bet you would. And I went to fucking Flex, grabbed me by the arm, fucking called my dad up. Dad was like, I'm not going to get on your ass because I've been in fucking trouble for stealing too. Let's just not fucking do this anymore. I got grounded for like a couple of weeks. I still had to
And
kill them all.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny you were trying to flex on the security guy. Back then, you were 75 pounds soaking wet. Maybe.
65.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, dude. Honestly,
No, I was thinking he was eating a sandwich that day. So
that
Yeah.
was when I ended up at Westland and I started bench pressing and I started working out consistently. I was in good shape. I probably weighed about 125 around that time. And it would be a year or two later that I would max 350 at 15 years old. For a 15-year-old. Guns like the fucking Navarone.
Jesus. Cool. So here's some cool categories because I'm terrible at segues. Here's some categories that we are going to go over tonight, everybody. We got songwriting, stage presence, vocals, solo career or albums, best live album, your favorite riff, your favorite solo, your top 5 albums, favorite cover song. So your favorite cover song of a Sabbath tune, favorite album cover, and your top 3 songs per singer. So 3 from Ozzy, 3 from Tony Martin, 3 from Dio. And there was one more, and Chuck, you were supposed to remind me. What was it?
And the most underrated song per singer.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
We're all about that bass and all about this Sabbath.
Boom.
All right.
So first
we
round,
starting with?
Skeet to Scott, Herm to Chuck. Skeet, first round.
Oh. We just going to do the first question, then go around, and do the second
Yeah.
question. Go around?
Well,
Yeah.
Bruce, let's talk about this. Why don't you give your input first
There we go.
on that question, and then move on to the best, and then I'll close out. I'll bumper that off.
Okay. Look at us. A rose between 2 thorns. Something
Bring around the
like
rosy.
that. All right. First category, songwriting. It was funny when I was kind of listening to, mainly I'm comparing Dio and Ozzy because honestly I don't know a whole lot about Tony Martin's songwriting. I haven't had a chance to do a huge dive on his stuff, so my apologies ahead of time. But one thing I kept thinking was, man, they're interchangeable in a way. So what I'm trying to say is Ozzy's lyrics typically had more of a common man approach, or more of a mental anguish kind of approach. And Dio's was more, more philosophical in a way, more otherworldly in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of similarities with them too. But I think the 2 biggest, that was the best way I could approach those 2 different songwriting styles. Ozzy was just more of a common man approach, and Dio to me has more of a, just kind of a different level. Me personally, I like Ozzy's songwriting slightly better because that's just more what I respond to.
Songwriting for Sabbath or songwriting overall?
Songwriting for Sabbath. I mean, because honestly, if you look at Dio's songwriting, if you look at Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Holy Diver fits right into that. Holy Diver is the best unreleased Black Sabbath album ever. I mean, it fits right in there sonically and the mood of the album. So
I never thought of that.
Who played guitar on Holy Diver?
Vivian Campbell.
Yep. He was young too when he came in.
Yeah,
He
he was
was
just
really
a kid, and
He's like 19, 20 maybe.
yep.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, I think he had a lot to do with a lot of the reissue stuff. Vivian and Ronnie's widow were
Wendy.
working together on getting some stuff together.
Yeah,
Oh,
Wendy
okay.
Dio.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy. Yep.
Mhm.
So for me, songwriting goes, Ozzy's my guy, just because it has more of a tortured feel, more of a common man feel, and that's more my wheelhouse. That's why I like country music.
All right,
Skeet.
you're up.
Yeah, I have to start with saying Dio is definitely a better singer. Ozzy's not a bad singer, but Dio definitely has more range, more talent. But with that said, I would have to say Ozzy's songs, the songs that he was writing, especially with Sabbath, are definitely more memorable. I mean, overall, I'm not just talking about the amount of songs they wrote, but just if you take, say, 3 songs per album, I would say Ozzy trumps Dio in what is more of a, I like that song better. If you just start adding, the compilations together, Dio did what, 4 total, 1 live CD, 3 recorded. If you take 4, from Ozzy era, I think you would have to say that those songs are more memorable and fit better on the album. My opinion, of course.
Yeah.
And when you look at Dio as a better vocalist, that says a lot about Ozzy's talent.
Mm, mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Look at Skeet already breaking the rules and going down to skipping 2 levels. Look at him. So who are you giving the songwriting nod to?
Ozzy for sure.
Okay.
All right, Scott, you're up.
He's like, where am I?
Best singer? Hands
No,
down. Dio.
songwriting.
Songwriting.
Damn it, Skeet.
Sorry.
I'm gonna have to agree with Skeet. Yeah, I would say Ozzy. The songs are just more memorable. They just stick with you longer. Not that the Dio stuff's bad, because it's not.
Not
It's
at
really,
all.
it's just, yeah, the stuff with Ozzy just resonates more. Like you were saying, Bruce, with like kind of the everyday Joe. It just kind of, it's something everybody can kind of identify with.
Yeah.
That's where Dio's lyrics were more, otherworldly, kind of medieval. He was off.
Dragons and Rainbows.
He was off on a whole another trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, songwriting, I would say Ozzy.
Okay. Herm.
Yes. I would have to say Ozzy.
Okay.
Pretty much for the same reasons as everybody else so far. The lyrics or the phrasing or cadence, whatever you want to call it, it just sticks out a little more than Dio for me. Like Dio's good. He's great singer, great songwriter. I'm not going to say singer, but I did anyway. But I think the Dio years and the Sabbath years, or the Ozzy years, I think they were both going for the same thing, but at different angles. Like Bruce said, Ozzy had more of the common man feel, and then Dio was more like, like the medieval or Renaissance feel, but trying to get the same message across that way. And which is all right, but it's like everybody else said, the Ozzy years were a little more memorable. So I'm going with Ozzy, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Chuck.
Chuck.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with the other guys. The Ozzy era, the songwriting was just more memorable because it was like this subgenre being created versus when you get to the Dio era, and it kind of started on the Never Say Die, but when you get into the Dio era, it starts becoming like new wave of British heavy metal or like a pre-power metal because of Dio. And Dio, there's no way that he didn't influence the power metal scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Ozzy era, I don't know. He sound more like a common man, and the lyrics and just the way that, I mean, I know that he probably didn't write most of the lyrics. I think that was like Geezer and Bill
Yeah.
Ward and those guys, but the way that he presented them within the songs, he brought like you could almost picture, just like with Dio, you can picture, but like I don't know, something about Ozzy that was more dreary and more like just dark, even though Dio is dark. Does that make sense?
You could feel the anguish. I think there was more anguish in Ozzy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's like with Dio, like, and I've always thought this, that, like, if the devil could sing, it would be Dio's voice, especially in a studio version, like where he's doing those harmonies and everything. Those are some dark harmonies, and that's something that Ozzy don't have. But Ozzy's got something that's more realistic and more real.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Ozzy era.
Now, with that being said, I've got to be the asshole here, and I'm going to be the fucking asshole. I hear you all yapping. Every one of you are fucking yapping. Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy. But
because we're
at the end of the day, this is songwriting, and I'm thinking songwriting across the board. You guys are thinking songwriting Sabbath. I'm thinking across the board. Okay, so here's where my argument is. You guys can all have Ozzy. Hands down for me, it's going to be Dio. Now, I understand why the majority of people would take on Ozzy because Ozzy had the most memorable catalog. But I'm going to say this. The topic is songwriting. If this was contributed directly to Sabbath, I would still have to give it to Dio, just for the sole fact his lyrics took more intelligence to write. They took a little more atmosphere. Don't get me wrong, Ozzy had atmosphere, and it is that working class man level thing that Ozzy had that made that great. Don't get me wrong. But the fantasy factor and the introduction of just the way he weaved his lyrics and the way he sang. He was a real singer. Ozzy is not a singer. Okay, Ozzy's a good guy. Don't get me wrong, but once again, we're coming back to songwriting, right? So let's talk songwriting across the board. Can you honestly say that the Dio albums weren't as good as some of the Ozzy albums? And I'm gonna argue this with you when you give me your response, because you've got your Dio albums, which there weren't a ton in comparison to what the Ozzy catalog is, right? Aside from Sabbath. Can you say that Ozzy's catalog really smokes? That if you take all things into consideration, and I'm going to get to that reason why I say all things into consideration in just a minute. But let's talk about it.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, okay, so you guys all sound like you agree during the Sabbath years it was Ozzy. I'm talking songwriting across the board. Off on their other stuff across the board, dude. Whether or not just because they're a songwriter don't mean they just wrote songs for Sabbath. They had their solo careers. They had those solo albums.
Right, but we're going to get into we're going to get into who had the better solos.
I'm talking songwriting across the board.
Okay, then I'm still going to stick with Ozzy.
Yeah, same here. Ozzy by
now.
now.
I'm going to tell you why I won't. Because if anybody in this room can tell me honestly that they don't think for one fucking second, I know you, dude, I'm getting livid about this. They
I
don't
know,
think
it's
for
great.
one
You
can
second,
tell.
for 1 second.
Yeah.
that
We're only on
somebody-
topic one.
Don't think for 1 second Ozzy didn't have writers.
Oh,
I
for
can't-
sure.
I can't say the same for Dio. So let's talk songwriting.
Dio could play an instrument. Dio
Yeah, he
played
was a bass player.
you know, an elf and all of that. And then
Yeah.
he even probably helped write some shit in Rainbow.
Yeah,
Maybe,
Rainbow.
who knows?
Needed.
And you know, again, I mean, like that early Sabbath was creating something, whereas if you listen to Heaven and Hell, it crosses over into that new wave of British heavy metal, but there's also this undertone of Rainbow going on as well. Lady
Yeah.
Evil and
Yeah,
songs like
yeah.
that. They didn't shed that until Mob Rules.
Right.
And Mob Rules didn't sound anything like Heaven and Hell in my
Well, I'm
view.
a big Rainbow fan, so that may have some influence. And I'm a Rainbow fan. See, that's another discussion we could have about singers in Rainbow. Because they had
Well,
a few
Dio
fucking
stands
too.
out.
Huh?
Dio stands out on the Rainbow.
Yeah,
All the
definitely.
Rainbow stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, they had other hits without me.
Right, they did.
They had other hits without me. But if I had to say pound for pound across the board, albums, all the shit that they've had their hands in songwriting in, I can't say that Dio had songwriters. I can say that Ozzy has. I can guarantee he has.
But if you were going solo career versus solo career, all of the other stuff aside, Ozzy's the man in that era. And I can tell you why. Because
Diary
of
of a Madman.
Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
Because of Randy Rhoads, and then even Jakey Lee, and then
Oh,
even
yeah.
Zach Wilde. Whereas after Vivian Campbell, you know, who?
Crickets.
Yeah,
Crickets.
who was after Vivian Campbell? I don't
Yeah,
even
who?
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
The
The
guy
little
from Lock
kid.
at the
It was the
Wolves.
little
I don't
kid.
remember his name. Yeah.
Who was the little kid? Anybody
I don't remember his name.
Rowan Robertson.
Yeah, he was good.
You know, he was good, but it was more of a bluesy type thing. And then
Right.
Yeah.
who was the guitarist after that? You know,
Not a
you
clue.
can know the Ozzy guitar players because
Yeah.
they stand out, and that's not taken away from the greatness of, you know, or the talent of the other guitar
When
players.
you're referring to guitar players, I'm talking about
Well-
guys that wrote their own lyrics.
Well,
Oh, shit.
then Ozzy's going to lose that battle because Ozzy didn't write hardly anything, but he did write "Who Are You" on the Moog synthesizer on either Sabotage or Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, one of those two albums.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to wrap it up and say I understand where you guys are coming from, but when it comes to actual songwriting, putting together their own lyrics and doing their own thing, I got to give it to Dio.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a great
There's no
choice.
argument there.
Now, nothing against Tony Martin. I'm not very versed in the Tony Martin era, but there are some albums, you know, that I dig.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's by no slight to Tony Martin, because the Tear album, as much as Bruce didn't like it, I did. I love the album.
Well,
Just the
No, I loved it actually.
just the Celtic and Viking
Right.
themes in there really kind of hit home for me. And you guys should know that. Anything Viking related, just because in the past few years I found out about having Norse and Sweden heritage. So it's a huge thing for me. So yeah. But that's where I'm at. Bruce,
all right.
fuck you.
Okay.
Next question.
Next topic, stage presence. So I had, this is a toss up, and after some discussion, one of you guys might kind of tip me one way or the other. Dio was definitely more theatrical. Dio definitely, he did more things from a show standpoint. But Ozzy got a bigger pop. Ozzy knew how to work that crowd.
Right.
I think Ozzy worked that crowd better than Dio, but Dio was a better performer, if that makes sense. Like, Dio did more shit, but Ozzy did less and got a bigger pop.
What, more captivating?
Yeah, maybe. Like, people just dug it more.
Yeah, but
And
what
I'm
did
not
he do?
saying,
He
and
stood,
again,
he
I'm
stood at the
not
microphone
saying,
going like this all the damn night. And if he wasn't doing that, he was doing the damn frog jump. Come on, man. Performer.
I get it, but the pop that he got from doing the frog jump or fucking dumping a fucking bucket of spit or whatever the hell, you
I
know.
don't want to stop. Oh.
I mean, he had the crowd eating out of his hand.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a toss up. Dio was a better stage performer, but Ozzy got the crowd better. He connected with the crowd better.
What's your pick?
To be determined. If you guys can articulate something a little better, I don't know, but it's really, they're completely different. Again, Dio puts on a really good show, and he's over the top. But Ozzy he just captivated the audience and didn't do a whole lot. I mean, that counts for something. To me, that counts for something. Yeah. Skeet, what do you think?
So I've seen both of them a couple times at least, both of them. And Dio definitely emphasizes every word he says with his hands.
Mhm.
But I don't ever recall him leaving the microphone stand. Not saying you have to as a singer, but from performing live, if my singer, unless he played guitar, which I've been in that situation, if he would just stand there holding the mic the whole time, I would go over and knock him away from the mic. Be like, dude, move around. And Dio did not do that. He would get in some poses and stuff, but Ozzy, he was a performer up there. He was jumping around, although he had his gimmick, but it worked. And like Bruce was saying, he motivated that crowd. And don't forget, right off, Ozzy got in trouble from buying that bat. Dio never did anything stupid like that up on stage. So I mean, you just have to give it to Ozzy. He wasn't just holding the mic. Now he did, initially in Black Sabbath, because nobody was up there jumping around and doing stuff. But at the end of the career with Sabbath, on his own out there, he was wild up there. Now, obviously, he's old and he's not doing anything like that now. But in his prime there in the '80s, he was one of the best performers.
He was also on a ton of cocaine.
Well, I'm sorry, what's that?
He was also on a ton of fucking cocaine.
True, but Dio might have been too.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
But we're talking about performance. We're not talking about what causes you to perform. I'm just saying he's up there doing it. I mean,
sick burn.
Brought to you by the old guys. We
So with that said, though, Dio was really good, but he just stood there. I mean, he'd move around a little bit, he'd swing his hands out and all that.
Tony's getting so pissed. I love it.
For my money, I want to be entertained because I can sit at home and listen to it. And Ozzy, he wanted me to be entertained. Where Dio was performing as a good performer, but that was it. He wasn't trying to get us back into it. Tony Martin did better than Dio, in my opinion. And I've seen Tony Martin with Black Sabbath, I think twice. And Tony Martin performed better with Black Sabbath than Dio did, in my opinion. So
that's what this is about.
Yeah. So as performance, Ozzy takes it, then Tony Martin, then Dio. Again, Dio's a better singer. I just want to keep saying that because I'm not dogging Dio. I love Dio. When we get to vocals, Dio takes it.
Skeet.
Yeah.
Remember that brisket I talked about cooking you? That shit's off
It's
the
hot
table
dogs now.
dude.
Scott, what do you say?
It's a hard toss up. I mean, Dio being a better singer, that was his performance. That was his presence. He didn't have to jump up and down and, you know, run back and forth across the stage. His vocals were good enough to make up for that, not having to do that. As for Ozzy, not quite as good as a singer. Maybe he had to do some of that stuff to make up for his lack of singing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to decide. I mean, I would say stage presence wise, I think maybe you got to give it to Ozzy more, just because he worked a little harder because he wasn't the singer Dio was.
Yeah.
I mean that's how I.
I think that's a great Scott. I think that's a great line. He worked harder. Whether he had to or he wanted to, that's irrelevant. He just worked harder, and the crowd appreciated it.
Right. He could be able to get a reaction from the crowd that way.
So by way of comparison, not to toot my own horn, and I'm not trying to be a jackass here, so please let me understand. I know how that feels, right? We did a show where I think it was the one we opened up for Mushroom Head at Newport, and a band had come out before us, and I'd never been stuck in that situation before. Everybody knows that Suspect Earth has covered more gigs for better part of 2 decades. At some point in time, you would hear it from us. I saw a band go on before us that night and do War Pigs. That song has always prompted a response out of Suspect Earth. Always. People lose their shit. They just do. You get the whole crowd going with you. That night, I did not see that happen. And I looked at my guys and I said, wow, they couldn't even get a response out of War Pigs. I'm a little worried about us going up on the stage because it sounds like these guys just want us to fucking Mushroom Head, fuck everybody else. Luckily, we took the stage, got through the first song, because I told the guys before we went on, I said, they start throwing shit, we're out of here. We got paid either way. And luckily, we got through the first song, and we come off stage later that night after a successful show. A lot of people told us the show didn't begin until you guys did. We didn't even do War Pigs. I think we covered God of Thunder by Kiss, which was another one we would cover. But it speaks volumes when you can do a Sabbath tune, a well-known Sabbath tune, and not get response. But I also noticed that the singer was up there not doing the things that I do to get a crowd worked. I think everybody here, aside from Chuck, has seen me live or performed with me live. And I'm not a stand in front of the stage kind of guy. I demand respect from the crowd. We want to hear you. Come on. We're out here putting this fucking show on for you. Come the fuck on. And I get it. I get what's being said here, especially with you and he had to he put in a little bit more work. He may not have been the prominent singer, but he had to put in that little bit more work that really worked the crowd. I don't mean to interject. My apologies. I felt that statement because I've seen it in action with my own 2 eyes. You know what I mean? So go ahead, Scott. I apologize.
No, I was done. That was it for me.
You took all of Scott's wind. Good job.
Right out of his sails. Fuck yeah.
Right out of the sails.
No. Yeah. So Scott, just to clarify, you picked Ozzy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Herm, what do you got?
This one's a tough one for me
Mm-hmm.
because I watched just here recently several videos with Ozzy and Dio. Yeah, Ozzy does them moving around and whatever hop you want to call that. Dio does his poses and And there, to me, I was, I like both. I thought Dio's stood out just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Ozzy did the hopping around and stuff, but Dio, he gave you the horns. He had the horns.
Thank you.
People.
That's what I was trying to fucking get to.
And what did Ozzy have? Yeah, he had but there was no any like
peace
gestures or like, hey, or a peace sign. Yeah, the horns with Dio. Dio come out, yeah, you're getting, and the crowd, yeah, and they, and that's all I really needed to me. I mean, maybe that's all, and that's all he had.
This is the
Dio
Dio
horns. Put those horns up, and the crowd's up. And he didn't need all that hopping around. So, on that, I'm going to give it to Dio on this one.
Okay.
Ronnie James Dio.
All right,
Chuck.
That's it.
I mean, I've seen Sabbath live, and I've seen Ozzy live, solo wise, and although I've never seen Dio live, I've seen plenty of video because I nerd out on things. And for my money, even though so on a side note, Bruce Dickinson is my favorite singer, performer of all time. But Dio is second in that category as far as those types of singers and performers. But in between that, I would have to put Ozzy. And Ozzy was just more wild. He told you, I know that Dio didn't have to tell you what to do, but Ozzy told the crowd what to do. He even made a statement.
They did
it. How can you go crazy if I don't tell you to? And back then people didn't really know any better. They were just catching on, it seemed. Because before then, what were people doing? They were sitting down mostly at those types of shows back in the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
Around the Doors era. And then it wasn't until the Doors and bands like that going, stand up. And Ozzy took that to a whole nother level. The hopping around and all that. I mean, that's sometimes it's funny, but Ozzy just commanded out of the crowd. The crowd worked as hard as he did because he was telling them what to do. Whereas Dio, he just, the hand movements, the poses, and he did just kind of stand there. And I gotta go with Ozzy. I gotta go with Ozzy.
Okay. Tony, you gonna change your mind?
Tell us why you picked Dio, Tony.
Yeah.
I am going to tell you why I picked Dio. First things
Explain
first.
yourself, sir.
I've seen Sabbath live, and perception is reality, right? What we see is our reality, right? I've seen Sabbath twice. The first time, Ozfest, 2 songs in, Ozzy blew his voice. Great band, horrible night for the singer. Tough night for me because I wanted to see Sabbath for a long time. Got to see Sabbath again. Good set. But I found the set to be boring because I was really hoping that other things would have fit into the set from the Sabbath catalog, right? And it was unfortunate that way. I've never seen Dio live, although I have seen the Heaven and Hell video, the live video that was out there for a while. And this is where I have a hard time with hearing you guys all go, well, Dio just did his poses and all that stuff. Well, no, because if you watch that video, Dio's not just standing in front of that mic stand. He takes that microphone, he goes out and wanders across the stage and doing this and interacting with the crowd and at the end of the day, this motherfucker getting metalheads their signal for years and decades to come.
I thought that was Gene Simmons. Just joking.
Gene Simmons.
Just ask him. He'll tell you.
Cocksucking full of fucking shit.
We'll
I'll
buy the
tell his
copyright.
fucking greedy ass that fucking way. They can't take that from him. And it's even explained. I've seen the video why Dio explained what this was. This
His grandma.
didn't mean nothing. It was just something his grandma did to ward off bad spirits.
Right. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Well, but if you're going to talk about this right here, you can't leave out Jinx Dawson of Coven.
Fair enough.
Coven, 1968. She was already doing this
Fair enough.
before there was any, as far as like even the elf pictures that I've seen. I've never seen Dio throw the horns.
But is she doing something more along the lines of this?
No. That's straight.
That could
devil
also be
shit.
okay. Okay.
They were an occult band from like 1968.
Well,
which also had a member named Oz Osborne. And the first song on the album was called Witchcraft Reaps Minds and Buries Souls or something like that. The first song is called Black Sabbath. So look it up.
Shut the front door.
1968.
Yep, look it up. Yeah,
That's
Jinx
when Black
Dawson
Sabbath
the
was
singer.
recorded. Yeah.
So I'm going to give it up because what I've seen video footage wise, aside from the frog jump, you know, obviously Ozzy does command a bunch of respect. Performance wise, I think Dio was more, he captivated you more with his performance of swaying his hands and drawing you in with his hands, and you know. So I'm going to give it to Dio on this one. I've never seen anything with Tony Martin. Once again, I don't have a big frame of reference for Tony
Oh
Martin.
yeah, I didn't mention Tony Martin. I haven't seen any stuff.
I don't know.
Bit.
It's no disrespect.
No.
Once again,
He's pretty good live.
you know, there was some good stuff with the Martin era, you know, and it's nothing against, just to kind of divert the conversation for a second. Sabbath had 10 singers, we believe, right?
Yes.
These guys weren't the only guys. These are just the guys that had the longest tenure in recording sessions with Sabbath. And that's why we're discussing these guys and why they're part of the conversation, right? So with that being said, there were some great notable singers out there, such as Ian Gillan,
Yeah.
Hughes, and you know, and it's funny because a lot of these guys at that time interchanged. Like you had Sabbath and Rainbow. You know, they interchanged people here and there. You know, you had Deep Purple was part of that whole connection there. You know, and it's no disrespect to any of those rest of those bands, but you know, at the end of the day, Sabbath is the force that they were. You know, if you once again ask scholars where did heavy metal originate, 9 times out of 10 people are going to say Led Zeppelin. Do we as musicians and people who understand music believe that's exactly where it began? Probably not. I mean, it's safe to say that
it's close.
It's safe to say it's close, right? Because there were other bands out there doing some pretty heavy stuff. It just didn't gain the prominence that Black Sabbath or per se Led Zeppelin did. You know?
Yep. All right. So I think we've already covered this one, but we'll just go ahead and do a quick run through. Vocals. Who is the better actual singer? So I'm gonna say, vocally speaking, I'm gonna give the slight edge to Tony Martin. Slight.
Okay.
He was a clean. His vibrato was cleaner to me. He had more of a range than Dio's, but I would definitely put Tony Martin, Dio, then Ozzy for just singer. So
actual singing ability.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, that's not far to see. Tony Martin's definitely better than Ozzy. But I will have to give it to Dio on vocals. He's got a better range and control of the voice. With that said, Tony Martin could bridge the gap, though. I think he did Ozzy stuff better than Dio did it. And
I would agree with that.
He could do Dio stuff pretty well. I mean, he couldn't hit some of that stuff, but he would hit it better than Ozzy would if Ozzy tried to hit it. So, and I know we're sticking to these three. I would throw Rob Halford as number one if we included all singers. But
oh
Yeah,
three.
Rob Halford does.
But with these three, I'm going to go with Dio on this by a long
Okay.
shot over Ozzy.
Yeah. Scott.
Yeah, I mean, as far as vocal capability, it's Dio for me. Dio was the best of three. I tried to listen to a little bit of Tony Martin stuff. He's kind of I think like kind of what Skeet was saying, a good in between Dio and Ozzy. I would put probably him second and then Ozzy third.
Yeah.
Your audio sounds like crap. You want to repeat that for us real quick?
I would put Dio first, Tony Martin second, and Ozzy third.
Okay. Herm?
I'm gonna go Dio. It just seems like his voice is a little stronger, for longevity purposes. I just think he's got more control. Not to take anything away from Ozzy. Ozzy can sing. I'm not saying he can't sing. I'm just saying Dio has a better singing voice for holding notes and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Tony Martin, I know nothing, so I can't really say. So I guess I'll go Dio, Ozzy, Tony Martin.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I'd like to give honorable mention to Rob Halford and Ian Gillan.
Yep. Chuck?
I would say on the studio albums, I would go with Dio because of the layering and everything that he does. But unfortunately, he doesn't do that. He can't do that live.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that takes away live. But technically, and all that, I mean, he's definitely a better singer than Ozzy. But again, live, he ad-libs too much and everything for me. Whereas Ozzy telling you to go crazy. And then Ozzy, I feel like Ozzy's more blues, Dio's more maybe R&B. But Ozzy's definitely he just got a character about him, and Tony Martin, because we're talking about those three, Tony Martin would be third. And I've listened to him cover Ozzy and Dio era plus his own thing, his own era. And sometimes, I mean, he's super good, but sometimes he sounds like he could be in Yngwie Malmsteen's band, or he could be in, throw a dart at, one of those bands that he could easily be in. And sometimes he sounds like Zach Stevens from fucking Sabotage. If anybody remembers Zach Stevens.
Yeah.
Or maybe Zach Stevens sounds like him. I think Tony Martin actually predates Zach, but like sometimes he just sounds like he's hired to do a job.
Yeah.
Where the other two embellished their role.
Yeah, I got that.
So, I mean, they believe it a little bit more probably than maybe Tony Martin did.
Yeah.
I'm not Tony Martin's head. So.
I got that feeling with the Tony Martin era albums too. Like he was just a hired gun.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't feel like he integrated into the Sabbath sound as well as say Dio.
It felt like, to me, and maybe we'll get to this later, but it felt like Tony really hit his stride on that Eternal Idol album. That seemed like a really strong performance, way better than that TYR. To me.
Well,
so definitely on TYR, it sounded like it was a hired gun. Like, let's just try this kid out. But when Eternal Idol finally came in, it really felt like he hit his stride. studio wise to me.
I think Eternal Idol was first for him though. He did that one before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah, 'cause he-
TYR was before that. My bad.
No, it was his third album with him.
Oh wow.
He took
God,
over
did
Ray
he?
Gillen kind of like left off because Ray Gillen did some of the demos,
Right.
and then Tony
Okay.
Martin came in and did it just as well.
Then
but-
don't listen to me. I'm full of shit.
That's why Steve's here.
That's right.
Keep that shit in check. Vocally for me, I'm gonna give it to Dio. Tony
Yep.
Martin's a great singer. Ozzy, to me, he has a vocal style of whining. You know, it's just this whining, nasally overtone there. So I don't consider Ozzy a great singer. Do I consider him a great frontman? Yes. Ozzy is a hell of a fucking frontman. Singer, I'm going to give it to Dio on this one, and I would go in pure talent of singing, Dio Martin. That's my take on it.
Makes sense. All right. This next topic, I think this is going to be really fun. Who had the best solo career, or if you want to break it down to who had the best solo albums?
I don't think this should even be a
I
question.
am going to say, so like, for instance, if you just say solo albums, Dio's got what, 3 albums, 2 albums solo?
Oh, I think he's got more than that.
Oh, he's
Well,
got a
there's at
few.
least-
Yeah,
He's got way more
he's
than
got
that.
several.
He's got more than Ozzy.
I think there's at least 4.
On Dio albums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got
Okay.
Holy
I'd say-
Diver,
Wait a minute, are you talking about
Mastodon,
Black Sabbath era, or are you talking about solo?
solo.
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 Oh yeah, Dio's got way
At
more than
least
4.
4. At least 4. I can think of. I've got Holy Diver, Last in Line.
Yeah. And those are the
Lock
only
Up the
2 I
Wolves.
know of.
Lock Up the Wolves.
Oh, yeah.
Lock
Lock Up the Wolves.
Yes, that's another big one. That's
Dream
big.
Evil.
And after that, I
Sacred
don't know
Heart.
what's
Oh, Dream Evil. You damn right. Dream Evil.
Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart. Dude, all good albums.
I don't
All
have
good
anything in
albums.
front of me, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
You know, oh, thank you. Thank God. Thank God someone's helping us out here.
Yeah.
He's getting them hamsters working.
All right. So we got Holy Diver, Last in Line, Sacred Heart, Dream Evil. Some say that was his last good one. Lock Up the Wolves after that, because there was like a 3-year difference there. Strange Highways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know that one.
Yeah. Angry Machines,
Don't know it.
Yeah.
No.
Magica,
No.
I remember that one.
Killing the Dragon,
Some of that I never even heard of.
and then Master of the Moon.
Last thing I heard was
I don't
Lock Up
know
the
that one.
Wolves.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The last I would have heard was Lock Up the Wolves too.
Huh.
And
I've listened to them all, but nothing stands out past, maybe Sacred Heart, maybe Lock Up the
Yeah.
Wolves, but
everything with Vivian Campbell, good,
Right.
great. But
Yeah.
after that,
Absolutely.
everything just kind of fell off. I don't know.
After he left. Yeah.
Where did Campbell go?
Yeah.
Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
That's good.
Oh, Whitesnake.
He was in Whitesnake too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you guys remember the uproar when Steve Clark died and Vivian Campbell took over, and they're like, "What the hell is this dude with brown hair coming in this fucking band?" And it was the biggest. It was just crazy. I'm like, who
Yeah,
cares?
I
The dude
don't-
can fucking
I
kill
don't
it.
remember that.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Well, it's quite a change from the
Okay,
long
back to this though. Yeah. For me, I think you got to give it to Ozzy for best solo career. He's got more memorable. He's got just more memorable songs.
Well, let's
And
all.
he put out some shit. He put out some shit
Get the
that-
fuck out of here.
Okay, Okay, let's do this. Ozzy's
let's
first
talk-
album versus Holy Diver.
Ozzy's first album. What was
Let's
Ozzy's
just-
first
Wizard of
album?
Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
You know, Ozzy
Yeah,
had a
Blizzard
head
of
start.
Oz.
Got a what?
No.
Correct.
When
Ozzy
did
had
Speak
a
of the Devil
2-year
drop?
head
When did
start.
Speak of the Devil drop?
1982.
Where did that fall on
80.
the album line?
That would have
What's
been
that?
What are you
after
talking about?
Diary.
Yes.
Diary of a Madman.
Yep.
Was Randy still on that album?
No. Brad Gillis.
Yeah, Brad Gillis from
Night Ranger.
Night Ranger.
Because we can't even use that. That's him covering Sabbath shit.
It was his stuff too,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
Well, you had Blizzard of Oz. Let's talk about it. We had
Okay.
let's say everything up to Lock Up the Rules was a fairly decent album for Dio. Fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
agree.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
how many albums we got there, Chuck? You look that up. We got
1,
Holy
2,
Diver.
3. Hang on. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That would have been Dio's 5th album.
All right, give me five.
Okay.
Give me five comparable, and they don't have to be. I mean, we obviously know there's going to be an album that's going to blow another album away. 5 comparable fucking Ozzy solo albums.
The
5.
first
And
5.
I know it can be done. I know it can be done.
First one. Yeah.
Bark at the Moon.
Everything
Blizzard of
except
Oz,
Ultimate
Dire
Sin.
Batman. I liked Ultimate Sin.
I'll whip
No
your
Rest
ass
for
over
the
the
Wicked.
Ultimate
I
Sin,
know.
dude.
No More
I will
Tears.
whip your fucking ass over the Ultimate Sin. I'm coming to Tennessee to fuck you up. That is my personal favorite solo album from Ozzy.
Yeah, there's
I know
Blizzard
it.
of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, Ultimate Sin, No Rest for the Wicked, No More Tears. Then it
I
kind of
think
starts.
He's Ozzy just.
Those
I mean,
are studio.
those are more memorable albums than
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
So
2
we had
songs
Bark
on
at the
Sacred
Moon,
Heart.
Blizzard,
Can't name a song from Dream Evil.
Diary of a Madman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We can all agree those are all phenomenal albums. I would count No More Tears.
hmm
It was just a phenomenal album.
No
Yep.
Rest for the Wicked was good.
I would
Oh,
pass on
I
that.
love No Rest for the Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I'd pass
introduced
on
who was it? Zach Wild, wasn't it?
That introduced
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. Ultimate Sin was a great album. J.K. Lee was phenomenal.
Ultimate Sin would get my vote because I often wonder that when did J.K. Lee come in? Bark at the Moon.
Bark at the Moon.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got
Yeah.
a great album out of Bark at the Moon, right? But then J.K. Lee wrote, and you can look it up. I don't give a fuck. You can look it up. He wrote The Ultimate Sin. Because he wrote The Ultimate Sin, he was ultimately canned from the band because of Sharon. Because Sharon imposed the idea to Ozzy, look, he's writing all the material for you. He's taking over the band. And he was and the J.K. Lee years, guitar wise, get no respect in the Ozzy camp. And The Ultimate Sin was one of the biggest fucking albums Ozzy had.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest tours he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And-
phenomenal.
The
Pound for
ultimate
pound,
videotape.
well, dude, if I took that Ultimate Sin album pound for pound against any of the rest of those albums, I can listen to The Ultimate Sin front to back. I can't listen to the rest of the albums front to back.
Really? Okay.
Whoa, whoa,
Oh man, that's a bad take.
Come on. Secret Loser. Thank God for the
Who?
bomb.
Nukia.
Who?
Yeah.
Nukia. Thank you, sir. I love you fucking
Shot in the
ass,
Dark,
man.
man.
Killer
I
of
love
Shot
Giants.
in the Dark.
Oh
Killer
yeah,
of
Shot in the
Giants.
Dark was on that album. Yep.
Killer
Yeah.
of Giants. Suspect Earth covered Killer of Giants at practice a couple times. We never did it live.
But you know what Ultimate Sin is missing? Songs like Bark at the Moon, Waiting for Darkness, Center of Eternity. It's missing even Slow
Diary of a
Down with the
Madman.
cheesy little keyboard.
Yeah.
So listen,
Mr.
You're no
Crowley,
different.
Crazy
Oh
Train.
God.
I'm not
I mean,
going to pull no
and I'm
punches.
just talking about just from the Bark at the Moon album.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to. I'm not going to pull no punches. In that era, beforehand, my favorite Ozzy album before Ultimate Sin, because there's a lot of good shit there. Don't get me wrong, would have to be Diary.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
album, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come
So
on.
I would
argue
say-
that.
No, you're absolutely right. But I will say this though, Holy Diver, it's man, if there is a perfect album, Holy Diver's it. There's no skips. There is no skips on Holy Diver for me. But that's
It's
it.
really good.
You can find lots of, and I shouldn't say lots of flaws, but you can find enough flaws in those other releases that he had. Yeah,
Well, he's got one hit. Yeah, one hit CD.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
the
for
whole
me,
CD, that is.
Ozzy had a better solo career. That's where I'm putting it.
All right.
Skeet?
Yeah, same. I mean, by far. I mean,
Yep. Scott?
Yeah, Ozzy, definitely. He had seemed like Dio, he kind of faded there in the 90s. Ozzy didn't. Ozzy was, he kept on going. He was still kept that popularity, whereas where Dio's was just kind of faded out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But
because I mean, he was even fading in and out with Sabbath, and like it was some weird. Again, not being fully in tune with what was going on back in the late 80s, early 90s, it just seemed like he was just kind of off in no man's land. Dio was.
He was out on his own island. Yeah.
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 Herm?
I think Ozzy had the better run as far as albums and stuff.
Okay.
Dio had some good ones.
Yeah.
Like I said, Holy Diver, and then Last in Line were good, But then after that, I don't know. He just kind of, I don't know. It didn't seem to be as good, or the production wasn't as good as the other two. I don't know how that happens, but I think it does. I mean, they probably got good musicians and all that, but the production is kind of, I don't know.
That makes it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's maybe an unfair question, because it seems like obviously not a lot of us heard some of that later stuff. But do you think that part of the problem with those later Dio releases was his songwriting just got tired? Like, no one was really into his genre of songwriting. Because you got to think in that mid to late 80s, it was all about the party. No one gave a shit about a wizard.
Right, like I said, that's why I say promotion. You don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know how much promotion was behind those albums.
That's true.
Right. Yeah.
They might have thought, this thing's kind of poop. I'm not going to put a lot of promotion in this. Let's lock up the wolves. We'll get it out there, but we're not going to put all the promotion like we did into Last in Line, and we just think this is a weaker. We're not going to really put it out there like that.
But it's there to listen to. I make my own opinions when I hear something, and it did wane. That stuff just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And I think after losing Vivian Campbell, Dio as an overall band.
Why did he leave anyway?
To join Def Leppard.
Money.
Def Leppard was making more money.
Well, and like he asked for more money within the Dio camp, and Wendy said no, or somebody said no. Maybe it was Dio. I don't know. But that was supposedly like one of the reasons. There was some hatred there between the two.
Now I got a question. Does anybody know that this Dio tribute thing that's going out, Last in Line, right? Is Vivian a part of that?
Yes.
Who's a part of that camp?
Other than Vivian, that's the only one that I know of for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that.
You mean like bass player? And
I'm just wondering who else is involved in the project.
I think Skeet volunteered for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay down some stuff, but I'm the only one that knows some of the music. So.
That's He's the one that bought that album. All right.
So moving forward,
Hold
we had her. Are we going to Chuck?
Yeah,
real quick, Chuck. Yeah, we're going to Chuck.
So I would say Ozzy by a long shot. Although I do stop with Ozzy around No Rest for the Wicked. I think that was his last killer album. Sorry, Tony. No More Tears. I don't know. I mean, even
Bob
though there's
Studio.
a couple
Bob
good
Studio.
songs, but
Bob
then you got
Studio.
like Zombie Stomp and a few songs like that I don't know. You could tell the machine was behind Ozzy. And the
Right.
machine
Yeah.
didn't know that
It was all
for some reason.
studio. That was the most
Now,
studio glorified Ozzy album that I had heard today.
That just seems so
But-
commercial.
Yeah,
and
it was very commercial.
The first 3 albums, and then after that, even after Holy Diver, he just kind of falls off for me. And maybe it is the production. If you listen between Holy Diver and Last in Line, there's a production shift, and then it gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Ozzy just got progressively better. Like whoever was behind him was was polishing him up really nice as far as the overall production goes. But like songwriting and things like that, you could tell that that era maybe it just wasn't ready for that Dio era. Like some of the power metal type of thing kind of caught on just a little bit later.
Mm.
Like, but like, I don't know. Some of it seemed flat versus, you got Zakk Wylde coming in and doing all these death metal squeals that nobody had ever heard really before. And then next thing you know, you got death metal incorporating it into their sound. And like, I've always thought that Zakk Wylde influenced the death metal fucking pinch harmonic Morbid Angels.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody fucking did. All the way up to like 1992.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then when you talk about guitar players, you got Randy Rhoads, you got J.E. Lee, you got Zakk Wylde, and then with Dio, you got Vivian Campbell, and then who?
And I can't remember.
And then like the little kid
Robertson or whatever.
And then Roe. I mean, at his age, Roe and Robertson can outplay. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I mean, but what did he do for, the Dio era? I mean, that wasn't his fault. Ultimately, it goes on Dio's shoulders.
And I never did hear much about the other guitarists from Dio. It's when Vivian Campbell left, it's like, oh, well, he left. Well, who are the other guys? It don't matter. They didn't give any updates. Oh, we got so-and-so playing for Dio now. None of that. It was, okay, he's got an album coming out.
I mean, even all of us here can agree that on the last Ozzy albums, we know who the last Ozzy guitar player was, right?
Gus G, Zakk Wylde's back.
Zach came back.
Yeah, I think Zach's back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, there's everybody here can agree. We know who the Ozzy guitar players were. When it comes to Dio's, it's Vivian Campbell. That's all we can remember, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's more memorable. So I mean, if I had to say, I'm going to go with, I base this based solely on depth and greatness of albums. Don't get me wrong, the Dio put out some great fucking albums, but when I come to the Ozzy solo career, I think of 3 albums, hands down: Diary, Ultimate Sin, and you call it cheating, call it whatever the fuck you want. The Randy Rhoads tribute was it's one of the best live albums ever.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I know we were including live. Yeah.
If you listen to the Blizzard of Oz and then you listen to those live versions of those songs, the live versions kill the studio versions.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why I don't care for those albums as much. Don't get me wrong, I love those albums, but that's why I don't care for those albums as much, because they sounded so monstrous live. So I'm gonna give it to Ozzy on this one, man.
All right.
There's no doubt in my mind that I could take those 3 albums against any Dio album or anything Tony Martin's ever done, and they would fucking pound the shit right out of it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, this kind of ties into the next topic: best live album.
Sabbath era or solo album?
Sabbath.
Yeah, see, I
We're
took
just
a
going
Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Okay.
And we'll include, and we did decide that we're going to include Heaven and Hell in it. The Heaven and Hell release.
Okay.
At the live album? The band. Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Because it's still Sabbath.
It's still, yeah,
Correct.
still Sabbath.
So my favorite Black Sabbath live album, and I know I'm going out of I'll probably be a low man on the totem pole, but I love that reunion album.
Okay.
I love that reunion album. The production on it was great. The song selection was really great. And yeah, I love the cover too. I know we'll get to that part later, but I really enjoy that album. I listen to Reunion because that's part of my decision of whether, how albums rank for me. How often do I go back to that album? And I go back to Reunion way more than I would, Live at Last or the Heaven or Hell release. So that's where I got. Skeet?
Yeah, mine is easy. Live Evil is probably my favorite live album of all time. That was just monstrous for me.
Yeah.
As a young person, I heard that and I loved the Ozzy stuff. And hearing Dio put his spin on it, it was intriguing. I thought he was a little over top on some of the stuff, but just it was a monstrous album. And yeah, that's got my vote.
Good deal. Scott?
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Bruce. Reunion.
How about that?
Yeah, the song selection on that album is great. I mean, it's all the classic stuff. Snowblind, Lord of this World, Sweet Leaf, fucking Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I mean, the song Into the Void, Children of the Grave. Every song they put on there is a home run, and they sound.
Yeah.
That's the best. I think the best sounding live album they've ever put out. The sound is by far the best production wise. They sound massive. But I would put Heaven and Hell live at Radio City Music Hall. I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd put that second because that sounds almost just as good production wise, sound wise, everything. That would be a close second, but yeah, definitely Reunion for me.
Okay. Herm.
Again, it was a toss up between Reunion and Live Evil. Live at Last is okay, but the sound quality was
right. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Reunion just because the sound quality is so much better. Now I haven't heard the remix of Live Evil, so I don't know. After I hear it, it may change. I don't know.
I will say this: the remix of Live Evil is really good.
Yeah.
I think Rhino released that, and I encourage all you guys to get that out. It's really good.
I have the original mix. I don't have the remixed. But I'd say Reunion. It sounds a lot better.
Chuck, you have the floor.
Oh, going against the grain. I'm going to go with Live at Last. And I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Because it's raw.
Yeah.
It's raw and it's a band on fire. Like the version of Cornucopia is ridiculous. You have Snowblind is ridiculous. That's just a killer version of that. War Pigs.
Oh yeah, that version of War Pigs was fantastic.
Version of fucking War Pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you got Killing Yourself to Live, Sweet Leaf. They open with Tomorrow's Dream, which I don't know if that was the actual opener. I'm not sure what they were opening with on that tour. I mean, and the Children of the Grave. I mean, like, and they're playing it at probably a quarter step faster, and it's
Yeah.
just like Bill Ward's just bashing his fucking brains out on the cymbals. Whereas I would put the Reunion because of those songs, the song choice, like you said,
Yeah.
was just killer. But at the same time, you got Bill Ward who's dialed back,
Yeah.
not bashing as hard or anything like that, which doesn't take away from the songs. I don't feel the production is definitely more slick and all of that, but I don't know. Live at Last is just more raw. It sounds old.
Yes.
Like
I
it
I wish
sounds
they
like
could
it's
have done
probably
something a little better with the sound quality on that.
sure, yeah. And then I mean, Live Evil. I mean, the original version. I mean, I had, but like, it's gonna be a pass on that one.
Yeah.
Even the songs, even the songs from Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, I still don't think are as good as the studio versions. And some of the way that he does Ozzy songs is, I feel the same way about how Ian Gillan did some of Ozzy songs. You know, a little too much, overdoing it.
Right.
So I'm going to go
Now-
with Live.
Yeah. Live at Last was the first. I'm pretty sure that was the first Sabbath album I ever got. I got it at the Dollar Tree at City Center Mall on cassette for
That's
$1, right next to Jimmy Page's Outrider album. So, do you guys know if they ever remastered Live at Last when they
I don't know.
did those re-releases?
Because
I haven't seen it.
there is a like a compilation thing that they put out like maybe 10 years ago called Past Lives.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
now the version of War Pigs that's on that is the most vicious version of War Pigs I've ever heard. What like Ozzy's scream at the very beginning and how it just, and they're, so if you listen to the original, War Pigs is tuned in standard. First on Paranoid, it's standard tuning. They drop that shit down like a step and a half. And so when it comes in, it just growls. So they're playing it in a lower tuning, and it's just like, whoa. But yeah, the Past Lives, there's some of the Live at Last songs that were remastered for that. Children of the Grave is one.
Yeah. Okay. Tony, what do you got?
We'll go Skeet on this one for personal reasons. I remember I came from 2 different households. And of those households, I had my dad's side, which is wild, like where I get a lot of my wild side from. Then on my mom's side, I had my stepdad. This was a Southern Baptist situation. He did not like the Kiss posters hanging up. But for some reason, he had no problem with Sabbath because he went and seen Sabbath with Dio during the Live Evil tour.
Huh.
I remember Skeet handing me off that cassette and saying, you know, check this out. Yeah, I think you'll dig it. And ever since, it holds a special place in my heart. I would agree there, you know, I think when it comes to those singers that we talk about doing the Ozzy stuff, they felt the need to exaggerate or elongate their lyrics because of Ozzy's singing style. Yeah, shit. You know, so could they do it as good as Ozzy? No. You know, they should have just stuck to their own thing, you know, instead of trying to imitate that length. Because, I mean, you could do, how can I do this without getting too over dramatic? So let's use War Pigs as an example. Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. I think when they're trying to emphasize on doing something like that in that vocal, it just doesn't sound correct to us. because Ozzy's vocal did that. But to keep it short and sweet, the Live Evil was the album for me. Nothing against the other two albums. I'll be honest with you. I can't say that I've heard the Reunion album. Not a fair judgment here. But at the end of the day, that Live Evil album holds a very dear place in my heart. So I'm going to go with the Live Evil album.
Good choice. Good pick there. Okay. This is going to get fun. Favorite riff?
Fuck you, all of you. I hate you guys.
Yeah.
I hate every fucking one of you for this.
Get my old man glasses on here so I can get ready to read, Joe. Whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna cheat a little. I'm gonna give, because obviously Tony Iommi, shit, riff monster. I mean,
every song.
So yeah.
No,
So
I'm gonna. That's my stance.
No Geezer, no Sabbath. Okay.
Fuck off.
So
Bring back Neil Murray.
yeah. Ooh.
Deep cut.
I was thinking Jeff Nichols. He's not Sabbath.
So I've got two, and again, it could really go if you pick any other song. I'm like, oh yeah, man, that one's really great too. So these are the ones I'm picking today, and it could change 10 minutes from now.
Right. Yep.
I love Children of the Grave. I love that fucking riff in Children of the Grave.
What a riff.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And I actually like the riff to Headless Cross.
That's a good riff, yeah.
It sounded a lot like Drop Dead Legs from Van Halen.
A little bit.
So if you've never heard it,
Okay.
and you're like, oh shit, oh yeah. So right now, those are my two riffs that I'm picking, and I'm not, I can easily be swayed on 1,000 other ones, but those are the two I'm going with.
I think two riffs are fair. I mean, it's hard because let's be honest. Iommi is the riff fucking god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody before him that is the riff god.
Yeah.
Not in this genre of music. So let's just be honest about that. So it's hard to pick across his catalog and say one riff is the defining riff of Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
But
it's just your favorite,
riff,
and it's like,
if you were to say there is one riff, if you had to tell somebody about one Sabbath song, I think we would all probably agree with that Iron Man would probably have to be it.
Yeah, if you're just wanting a great example, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, if you're going to pick
my
one
favorite,
riff that maybe Sweet Leaf. I mean, if you're gonna pick one Sabbath song and say, okay, yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna have to cross off about 5 of them here.
Right.
Well, you got 5,000 to go. You're fine. Skeet, what do you got?
Well, if we're going two, I'll go with my runner-up, "Symptom of the Universe." That riff at the beginning, man, just it moves you. But for me, it was really hard. But I think, especially how it works with the song, and the vocals come in. I would have to say that the best riff accompanied with everything is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It was way out of left field. I had to talk to myself.
That's a fucking good pick too.
Yeah,
man.
I could throw in 800 riffs in that spot, but that was the one that was like, nah. As for the song, that riff controls that song.
Yeah. You're not wrong. God. Scott.
I'm gonna go with Into the Void.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, the verse riff. That
That's funny
song.
you had to
That's
mention it because I
song is
I pulled it up to
Go ahead.
listen to it just to verify the riff again, man.
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
it's almost
pulling it up
perfect.
now.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's that song, probably my favorite Sabbath song too. It's just, you know, you have that intro riff, that da 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 da, and then bam, it bludgeons into this fucking drony ass fucking
Yeah, you go from a waltz right into that. Yep.
into that, and then in the rest of the song, it goes out of that, it goes into all these other little side pieces. Then it goes back
Yeah.
in. It always circles back around to that riff, and that riff just I don't know. It just grooves so fucking good, and it's just
Yeah.
dense, it's heavy, it's
He
everything you want.
borderline raps in that one.
What's that?
He borderline raps in that one. You
Yeah, he
listen to
does
the
kind of. Yeah,
Void lyrics, He's just
yeah.
spitting.
He's spitting. Right, exactly. Yeah.
Spitting fire.
His name is Dylon. He spits hot fire.
All right, Herman, what do you got?
All right. It was another toss up between Supernaut and Into the
Yeah.
Void.
Into
So I'm
the
going
Void, yeah.
with Into the Void.
Supernaut would
That's
be
two
my,
for Into the Void, right?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck.
All right, well, looks like I've got to be just part of the gang because I had two was going to pick Into the Void. I mean,
Nice.
if I had to pick a runner up, it would be, I mean, maybe it would have to be. I mean, what about Sign of the Southern Cross?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Another good riff.
It's what a creepy, doomy riff. I mean, but I could throw 1,000 Ozzy era riffs, but you know, I can just if I had to narrow it down to the one, it would be Into the Void. That intro
Yeah.
riff is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like something's wrong. What made him write that riff? Who made what? Like it sounded just bad. Menacing.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Something bad's getting ready to happen.
Bad.
It's
creeping up,
foreboding.
it's
Yeah.
creeping up on you.
Yeah.
So much foreboding in it.
Mm-hmm. Tony.
This conversation has awoken the fucking demon in me. And I'm just going to put it out like this. This is so hard to pick for me because I could say Black Sabbath. I could say Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I could say Sweet Leaf. I could say Paranoid. I could
Yep.
say fucking Into the Void. I could
You
say
could just say every song.
Snowblind.
Yeah.
Well, I could say Snowblind. There's so much out there, right? So while you guys gave two, I have to give two and an honorable mention because this honorable mention could fall in there anytime. They could swap out with these guys at the time. Black Sabbath would be the honorable mention, just because it is the framework
Yeah.
for what would become heavy metal, doom, sludge, drone for decades to come. The two that I'm going to pick, and I'm going to be an odd man out here and kiss my ass, I don't give a fuck. Number one favorite Sabbath riff for me is dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a good riff.
Just
It's a great riff. Yeah.
huge.
You're not wrong.
Hugely foreboding riff. When you hear that, and then they come off that main riff, and then it goes the dum 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 dum.
The bass.
Then Dio comes in with the "Sing me a song, you're a singer." It's just a driving ass fucking riff, and I love that shit. So Heaven and Hell gets my number one riff. I know it's not a Nazi era thing, but it's just
No.
It's just that fucking Sabbath riff for me.
Yeah.
And the second would be
Yep.
the second would be God,
Solitude.
and this was the Antidote.
No,
Dude, I love Solitude.
yeah, me too.
Antidote.
But
Hand of Doom. And it was hard to even say Hand of Doom over Into the Void or Sweet Leaf. Just there's something about the creepy, droning feeling, this heavy forebodingness that was in Hand of Doom. You know, I'll even ask you, what you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Time's caught up with you. It's a killer riff. But that's right.
I love it. Okay, on to the next not wrong answer section. Favorite solo.
Favorite solo album?
Favorites. Favorite guitar solo. Fuck. Okay. So I'm gonna need your guys' help. So because I cannot remember on the first album the that extended guitar solo that Tony does. Was that Warning?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I love hands down. That's my favorite guitar solo. I remember the first time I got this album, and that came on. I was like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is fucking cool!" And I just kept replaying that song. I just kept replaying it and replaying it and
Yeah, I'm
replaying
not
it.
even sure what that's called. Yeah, I was trying to remember the solo.
It's a bit of
Finger.
bit of finger,
Bit of
sleep
Finger.
village,
Okay,
Warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, man. God, I love that. I love that guitar solo. So that's it for me. Ski?
I'm going way off in left field here, off of Heaven and Hell. Lonely is the World. He does this melodic solo through a good portion of that song. It's probably not his best solo, but it works so well in that song. And it with Dio's vocals, and Dio is definitely a more melodic singer than Ozzy. I just something about that solo in that song just really works.
Good deal. Scott?
I'm a rhythm guitar player. I'm not a lead guitar player. So I have this love-hate relationship with guitar solo because I can't play them that good. But if I had to pick maybe one, probably either NIB or Paranoid, because he just rips.
Yeah.
Those songs are faster. He just I like those are more faster ripping solos in those two songs.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like I said, guitar solos to me don't really stand out. It's the riff that stand out. That's just how my brain works. Being a rhythm, maybe that's
the rhythm in you.
Yeah. Well, I played bass first, and then switched to guitar, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, that's my vote.
Scott Stevens coming straight from the rhythm kitchen. All right, Herman, what say you, my friend?
Well, I'm gonna go with After Forever.
Okay.
What was that all?
Master of Reality.
Master of Reality.
Yeah.
Okay. What about it do you really like? Like what gets you?
Well, I don't really know the professional terminology. The quickness and I don't know, the panning from left to right when he's soloing.
Yeah.
I like that, and I just like the solo. It was a toss-up between that solo and actually the solo from Into the Void, because that's a good one too. And I listened to several
Yeah.
solos. I'm like, how do you pick one? Like, so I just After Forever. I mean,
There
I
you go.
listened to a few others, and that's it. After Forever.
Yeah, works for me.
It could change tomorrow
Chuck.
again, you know.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's one of the things I love about these topics, especially here towards the end. It could change. Your favorite riff could change
Yeah.
just on your mood.
Oh, I didn't
Your
hear that
favorite
before.
solo.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
solo right now.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yep. So, Chuck.
Well, of course, you know, we can say, well, there's a lot of solos or whatever, but I picked War Pigs, and if I had to have a runner up, it would be Turn Up the Night
Okay.
off of Mob Rules, first song. What he does, like with the wah pedal and all of that, like I mean, hammer-ons and pull-offs for days. But then but War Pigs, I mean, it's just memorable. Like you can hum that solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even the faster parts, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
War
See,
Pigs.
exactly. Herman's probably
See,
close to changing his mind now.
Okay. Let me see.
It's a melodic solo, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like super blistering, but then he blisters on Turn Up the Night. So I mean,
Yeah. I don't have that CD, Mob Rules. It's a good one though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
Tony, what do you say?
I just had to confirm it. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in the realm with Scott. The solo on Paranoid was really good, guys. I mean, let's be honest. It was a really, really, really good solo. But something stuck out in my head when I said solo on Sabbath, and I can't pick between the two. So I'm going to give you my two. I just can't pick between the two. They're both so good for different reasons. The work that was done on Heaven and Hell, the solo work that was done on Heaven and Hell was really fucking good. And it really made that song shine. Snowblind. That fucking it's just this dark bluesy thing, man, that was just it's just this dark bluesy, just like you I think the guitar players in the room can understand, and even bass players in this room can understand when I say you can tell when someone's doing a solo and it feels like a paint by numbers thing, or it's all feel. It's all feel on fucking Snowblind. And I think you get more out of a guitar player who plays by feel than the paint by numbers guy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with
Yep.
Snowblind.
Okay.
Very cool. All right. Next up, top 5 albums.
I hate your face.
Hmm.
In no particular order.
Yeah.
No, God, no. All right.
Okay.
So I am going to say the first album, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Technical Ecstasy. I love that
I
album.
knew you were gonna throw that in.
I
I
love
knew you were
that fucking
I know,
album.
knowing how much you love that album, I knew you were gonna throw that in.
You know, you can commend me later, whatever.
So,
Heaven and Hell. And I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to throw in Eternal Idol.
Okay.
I really like that album. I love Eric Singer's playing on it. I like Tony Martin's vocals on it. And I just really like that album. And everyone out there is like, what the fuck did he just say? Really? Really? How many of those land sharks did he drink? What the hell? Skeet, what do you got?
Well, I did mine in order. So number one, do you want me to go in reverse order or number
Go
one?
in
to
You
number
do
reverse
five?
however
order.
you want.
I'll go number 5 is volume 4.
Mm.
Number 4, I guess I should have done volume 4 as number 4, but number 4 is Master of Reality. Number 3 is Paranoid. 2 is Sabotage. And number 1 is Black Sabbath. I did all Ozzy. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
Good picks.
Yeah. All right, Scott, you're up.
Number 5, I'm gonna go Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Mhm.
And then number 4, Paranoid. And then 3, Black Sabbath. 2, Heaven and Hell. And number 1, Master of Reality.
Nice.
That'd be my
Very
top pick.
nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Herman.
All right. I got number 5, Heaven and Hell. 4 is volume 4. 3, Paranoid. 2, Black Sabbath. Number 1, Master of Reality.
Mm,
All good
very
picks.
nice.
Hey, Bruce, you writing these all down so you all pick the same albums?
No.
Just taking notes over there. I was just wondering how close everybody was in albums.
No, I didn't write them down, but they
Yes,
all
sir.
did.
Okay. Fuck you. I've been drinking lately.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Chuck.
All right. At number 5,
Well,
I got Sabbath. Go ahead. You were about to say
no, I
something.
was going to say, will someone fucking agree with me, please, on any of
No.
this shit?
Yeah.
No.
Number 5. The answer is no, Bruce. No one's going to agree. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, number 5. Number 4, Sabotage. Number 3, Mob Rules. Number 2, Volume 4. Number 1, Masters of Reality. It's such a good album.
Yeah.
What can't you say about it?
Right.
Yeah,
Lord of the World is crushing. Into the Void. I mean, just those 2 songs.
And a Doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Hand of Doom is on Paranoid.
Paranoid, yeah.
Paranoid.
Oh, you're right. It
Yeah.
is on Paranoid. What was I looking at?
But the album after, though, that's when they
Solitude.
started the down tune and all that shit.
Children
Yeah.
of the Grave.
I mean,
Come on. I
yeah.
don't see how this could be left out of anybody's top 5.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people pick Volume 4. You read or you talk to other people that like Sabbath or whatever, and a lot of people pick Volume 4. But for my money, Masters of Reality is just
Masters of Reality.
fucking
Good
ridiculous.
one.
And honestly, true confession time, if I hadn't just really if I hadn't really started listening to that Eternal album or Eternal Idol album, Master Reality would have been right there. It probably would have took its place easily, but just right now, because it's still,
Armin's
it's
got
still
it,
new
right?
to me. I'm really digging it. So
Got that for a quarter at a rummage sale.
hell yeah,
Sweet.
1976.
Damn.
Wow.
dude, that's awesome. Tony, are you awake?
I am. I'm just
Okay.
having a hard time picking because I'm not going to put mine in any particular order.
No,
I can't
I
do
didn't
it.
put
Okay.
mine in any order.
I can't do it in any particular order. And it's very hard because there is such a wide Ozzy catalog, but in no particular orders can be Heaven and Hell, Dehumanizer. And I have to mention Dehumanizer because this was a big thing around the time that I was hanging out with Skeet in high school.
Yeah, it
And
was
I
a great
remember them
album.
coming through on that tour and I didn't get to
Yep.
go. And I just remember the album being very, very, very good for its time frame. It was almost as if Black Sabbath reinvented themselves and made themselves
Relevant.
Heavier?
they made
Yeah.
themselves relevant for the time frame, like Kiss has done over several frames. You know, Kiss did have a period of time where they waned off, but as they came into the 80s and everybody was starting to do a little more bluesier, melodic bullshit, you know, like the hair band thing or power metal thing, whatever you want to call it. They managed to keep the Sabbath sound, with Dio even coming back, and I think that album is very foreboding, especially if you listen to some of the lyrical content. It's very foreboding of what we're seeing in our times right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a fucking phenomenal album. So those two definitely fall into the list. I'm gonna go with the original Black Sabbath. It's just undeniably a phenomenal album and a hell of a fucking debut.
Mm-hmm.
I get two more, right?
Yeah.
Paranoid and Master Reality. There it is.
Yeah.
That's my top five. And the only reason anything else wouldn't be exchanged out, and if it would possibly be exchanged out, I love the Heaven and Hell album, but the Humanizer album was something that I lived through, right? I didn't live through the Heaven and Hell album. But the Heaven and Hell album could be replaced by another Ozzy album. I just can't do that knowing the Heaven and Hell riff. I can't do it.
Yeah.
That song outweighs so much in the Sabbath catalog, in my opinion. It's just, when you think about it, it's like, what the fuck is coming this way, dude?
Yeah.
It's a good song, dude. It's a hell of a rip.
I love it.
Cool.
Cool. So I might have to switch to just regular audio because I just got word that my battery's going low on my earphones, but we'll figure it out.
That's why
All right, real quick. Huh?
That's why you should use one at a time.
That's why you should just shut your whole wang chung. All right. So next I'm going to cheat on this one. Favorite cover song. I'm going to go an actual whole album. There's a whole album of Black Sabbath cover tunes. It's by this band called Huh?
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No, you don't get a whole album, dude.
Okay, fine. Fine. I'm going to give you Brownout.
An awful lot, and I think because you're a host, you think you have that advantage.
Hey, I'm kind of a big deal. I didn't know if you knew this or not.
A big dill pickle.
All right. So I'm going to give you the band is called Brownout. And the album they have is called Presents Brown Sabbath. Basically, it is an all Mexican band that does fucking Black Sabbath. And the fucking horns and the guitars are fantastic.
Okay.
And I'm telling you guys think I'm crazy, but when you hear it, you're like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. You were right. And that's okay. I will accept the apologies at the end. That's fine. So Brownout presents Brown Sabbath. Any of it. Fairies Wear Boots, The Wizard, anything.
We'll see.
They're so good. That's what I got. Skeet.
Candlemass Black Sabbath medley.
That's a damn good pick. I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
That's a damn good pick, Steve. Another great band of this genre.
Right.
I heard they just in recent years reunited with the original singer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, they just released an album here recently.
Okay, I'll have to check into that.
You
Scott.
turn me on to Candlemass.
I'm gonna go with a song off Nativity in Black, the first Nativity in Black album. Thousand Homo DJs doing Supernaut. It's basically Ministry with Trent Reznor singing, doing Supernaut.
Nice.
And the drums are just pound, pound, pound.
Right.
It's probably a lot faster than the original, but it pounds. I love it.
Went to Pound Town.
Went to Pound Town. Go to Pound Town.
Herman, you're up.
All right. I'm going to go with Pantera, Planet Caravan.
Ooh,
Oh yeah,
another
Good one.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's so good. So good.
Damn, I love you guys bringing them out. Big guns.
Yeah.
I think everybody might be surprised or not so surprised by mine, but go ahead.
All right, Chuck.
All right, so man, I had a couple down, but I'll just narrow it down. I'm gonna go with number one, Zero the Hero, Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. That riff is awesome in that.
It is. It's man. And
Good pick.
isn't that like? Ain't that rumored to be like? That's where they got the Paradise City riff. Anyway,
Now, was that Corpse Grinder on vocals or Barnes?
no Barnes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and if I could give an honorable mention, Into the Void was covered by Exhorter.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Good version.
Okay, Tony.
This is a tough one for me. And I'm not going to pull no punches. When I think about Great Sabbath covers, the first one that actually comes to mind is Faith No More's War Pigs.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
never
a good
forget
one.
hearing it
Oh,
off that album
yeah.
for the first
I forgot
time.
all
I went,
about
"Man,
that.
That's a good one."
Really, really good cover. But War Pigs has worn thin on my nerves over the years. So I
Yeah.
can't give it to them, right?
Radio
Now-
killed it a little bit.
Yeah.
My logical guess and what would be expected of me would be to say Danzig's version of Hand of Two.
Okay.
But I think Scott's going to understand where I'm coming from, especially refining myself into the Doom world and doing what I've done and finding out bands of like Mono Lord, Wind Hand, Sleep, and shit like that. Al Cisneros and Matt Pike have said those first four Sabbath albums are masterpieces. They're untouchable. They're not wrong. So I'm going to go with, I believe it's on Unholy Mountain or Sleep Volume 1. I can't remember which album. I want to say it's on Unholy Mountain. Sleep's Snowblind.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Al Cisneros does the best, probably the closest tribute to Ozzy style vocals, and the track is flawless.
Yeah.
I put it up to the other one, put it up to the original. It's pretty fucking flawless.
Very cool. All right, here we go. We're getting close to the end here. Best album cover. Best album cover. I had a hard time with this one. I'm going to give it a slight edge. It was between two. It was either between Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, or Heaven and Hell. And I'm going to give the slight edge to Heaven and Hell.
It's a cool cover.
I really, really like. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, I got it over there over my bathroom. So
Nice.
So angels are watching over me while I'm taking a crap. They're exhausted. All right, Skeet.
For me, it's all about Black Sabbath, man. That there's something weird about that cover. Just it's like a weird Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
It fits it.
Yeah.
When I think of the song, when I think of that album, that
it's
cover
iconic.
just fit. Yeah, it's like a 70s scary movie.
You know, people
No, you're
travel
exactly
to the
right.
side of that house and take a picture of them with that album in front of them a lot of times.
Put
It's
glare on it.
destination.
didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
you? A lot of
Yeah, it's
glare.
just
A lot of
yeah,
glare.
that's just crazy good.
Yeah. Scott, what do you got?
It's a toss up. Yeah, I agree with Mesquite that the self-titled album is just, yeah, it's a creepy Mona Lisa. It's, it's very something weird, just weird about it's so super simple, but still yet creepy as hell.
Yep.
I'd say either that or Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, because that's just,
Yeah.
it's like the complete opposite. It's just for
Right.
more with the demons and the skulls and all the crazy shit going on in there. They're both great though.
Yep. Okay, Herman.
I'm gonna go with Black Sabbath, their first one.
There you go.
Because it's a creepy looking cover and it looks like the
Yep.
Blair Witch House.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what reminds me of. I go, damn, that looks creepy. And who's this just wandering around in a field or something? Just, just eerie. And, it's,
She was smoking
like
that 70s dope and wandered out in front of the house.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, what's out here? What's up? They're just wandering out, like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
like it.
shoot. Yeah. I like it. I like it. Chuck.
I'm going to have to go against the grain and say, psych. I'm going to go with that first Black Sabbath cover. Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, it really inspired a lot of things after that. I mean, you could look at that and say that could be a black metal cover. It could be a death metal cover. It could be a stoner metal cover.
Oh,
I mean,
you
like,
could
it
you
just
could do
fits
that.
in
You
so
could
many
reverse
little
the negative.
boxes.
You could reverse the negative on that and make that a Black Album cover, no fucking problem.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I would say that first album cover is just classic.
Okay. Tone?
Man, it's a tough one. There's a lot of good ones out there, man. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, that Black Sabbath album, original cover, great album looking cover. I really don't dig the Paranoid cover. I've never really got the whole fucking idea with the guy behind the sword.
Yeah.
I love the
it's weird.
simplicity of Master of Reality's cover. I really love the simplicity of the Master of Reality cover. I think it's really good. The Volume 4 cover, very simple, very iconic, as a matter of fact.
I had a shirt like that.
The Sabotage cover, the Heaven and Hell album, the Cherub sitting there smoking, all good stuff. The Mob Rules, you guys talk about creepy. If you haven't taken a look at that Mob Rules cover album or cover that album, that's really fucking creepy, man.
It is, yeah.
You got those cloaked figures there and shit and whatnot. I was going to throw out something, I like the feel of the Tear album cover, and I like the Dehumanizer album cover because of the artwork. It's very it had that Chuck, help me out here, because you can help me out with this. That had an album cover on the Dehumanizer cover. It was like some of those old school Death album covers, kind of cartoony, kind of just, you didn't know what to think of it. It was kind of over the top, but kind of cool, kind of, just borderline the edge of, whoa, what the fuck's this about? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, fuck, man, gosh. You know what? I'm gonna have to stick with the rest of the group. I'm gonna go with the Black Sabbath original cover. It's just iconic, man. It's
Mhm.
just fucking iconic. If you're a heavy metal fan, you should recognize that cover right off the bat.
Who is that on that cover? Is it?
I forget the lady's name, but I think she's still alive and kicking. So
Lady
Really?
Evil?
Yeah.
Really.
Lady,
There's Chuck.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, like there's run-ins happening here.
run-ins.
All right. All right. So I was way out of line with you guys, and that's all right.
No, it's good. Listen, this is not an easy pick. It's not an easy pick because, dude, I could have picked Master of Reality because I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I could have picked the Dehumanizer out because I love the artwork.
Well, and the vinyl has got like a raised letter right here on the
Yeah.
vinyl. I don't know about CDs.
Yeah.
CD, you know, but
yeah. So,
Okay,
yeah,
here's where it's going to get super, super tough now.
Okay.
Top 3 songs for each singer. Okay. For me,
I don't even
and
know if I
again,
got that
it
one.
changes on your mood. You better think quick on your toes there, Herm.
I don't have that one. Uh-oh. I missed it.
Okay.
I knew I forgot something.
If nobody has the Tony Martin stuff, we understand.
Yeah,
I've got some.
I didn't
I've
even
got
pick
some.
anything. I knew I tried to write everything down, but
I'll talk slow.
uh,
Okay. So for me, I had NIB, The Wizard, and Children of the Grave for Ozzy. For Dio, I had Mob Rules, Time Machine, and Heaven and Hell. Tony Martin, I had Hard Life to Love, Glory Ride, and hold on, and Headless Cross.
Nice.
Skeet.
For Ozzy, number 3 is Into the Void. Number 2 is Symptom of the Universe. Number 1 is Black Sabbath. The vocal work he does on Black Sabbath, it's again like a scary movie.
Haunting.
It's untouchable.
Yeah.
For Dio, number 3 is Computer God. Number 2, Country Girl. Number 1,
shit!
Heaven
I forgot
and
about
Hell.
Country. Damn it.
Yeah.
What's third one?
Yeah, number 1 is Heaven and Hell. What's that?
Number 1's Heaven and Hell.
Yeah. And then for Tony Martin, number 3 is Valhalla. Number 2 is Jerusalem. And number 1 is Headless Cross.
Okay. Scott, what do you got?
For Dio, I'm gonna go Neon Knights, Heaven and Hell, and Mob Rules. And then for Ozzy, I'm gonna go Into the Void. Children of the Grave, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And then instead of Tony Martin, I'm going with Ian Gillan.
You rebel.
Because I think Born Again is a really good album. And 3 songs off there that are really good are Disturbing the Priest.
Actually, I like that. I like that song.
That's actually a really good song. And then I'm going. Where is it? Disturbing the Priest, Zero the Hero. And then Digital
Okay.
Bitch, which is actually a really cool song.
Mm.
Cool. Herm, what do you got?
Well, all right. I had to make this up kind of quick. Okay, for Ozzy or Ozzy ears, The Wizard, After Forever, and Fairies Wear Boots.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, God, I love Fairies Wear Boots.
Yeah.
And then for Dio, Voodoo, Children of the Sea, and Neon Nights.
Nice.
So good. So good. Chuck.
All right, so I'm gonna just a quick honorable mention. I'll try to stick to the rules, but I'm gonna have to agree with Scott because I suggested the Ian Gillan era. But I would take out Digital Bitch and I would put Trash in.
Hmm.
But we'll start with Tony Martin. Number 3, Virtual Death.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, Headless Cross Live off the remaster. There's a live version that's really good. And number 1 would be Shaking Off the Chains.
Okay.
The Dio era. Number 3 would be Falling Off the Edge of the World. Number 2 would be Sign of the Southern Cross. Number 1 would be Die Young. And then the Ozzy era, number 3 would be Lord of this World. Number 2, Into the Void. Number 1, Black Sabbath.
Nice.
I like it.
Good picks. Yeah.
Tony.
Before I give my answer here, I just want to say hello to Greg over there in Chuck's fucking house.
Special uninvited
What's up,
guest.
Greg?
Let's slip into the front door.
So that's a singer and bass player for Beyond Neptune. Very good friend of mine, man. Turned me onto a lot of shit as much as Chuck has. Good dude. We just want to take time to say I saw him over there. Want to say hey. I'm gonna do mine a little unorthodox. Dio. Heaven and Hell. In no particular order. Heaven and Hell for sure. I would throw Mob Rules in there. Just because it's kind of expected to be there. But I'm gonna have to swap out that Mob Rules for I believe it's Neon Nights.
Hmm.
It's a really killer tune, and I may or may not get some fucking flack for this, dude. But after all, on Dehumanizer.
Okay.
I absolutely love that song. Like when I listen to the Dehumanizer our song and I'm going through it, I probably play that track a few fucking times more than the others. I just think it's a stellar performance of vocally, and the lyrical content's insanely fucking good. Ozzy era. Sweet Leaf. Mm.
I know it's
Funeral. Electric Funeral.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna be the odd man out here. I know it. And the only reason I picked this song is I think this is the absolute most broken you're ever going to get Ozzy on album, aside from Mama, I'm Coming Home. Changes.
Oof.
I'll
Nice.
never forget hearing Changes for the first time and going, holy shit, what the fuck was this? And I didn't know whether to love it or hate it, but I eventually fell in love with it. That's a broken man singing about a broken situation. It's a really fucking deep tune. And
that's why
you
he's the best songwriter.
kiss my dick. I'm so fucking good with this shit tonight. You know this turned into almost a 4-hour episode, just for the record. I think it's cool though, no big deal. Tony Martin era. Dude, I'm very particular on that Tear album, man. I'm really particular on that Tear album. Valhalla, Heaven and Black.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Heaven and Black, man. I think that's your favorite song that you reviewed on the album, Bruce.
Probably.
Yeah, Heaven and Black. And then he was also on the Headless Cross. Yeah, what's on there? Uh, I think I'm gonna go with When Death Calls. That guitar solo by Brian May on there was a cool fucking little factor
Yeah.
into that shit.
Mm.
What are you over there grinning about, Chuck?
A song was just mentioned over here, and then I just showed him that it was actually on my list.
What was it?
I can't tell you yet.
Oh. Look, the peanut
Coming
gallery
up.
has chimed in back there.
Coming up. All right, so that's it. So this is the last category. Most underrated song per singer. And before we really get into this, I really want to thank every one of you guys again, not only for joining us tonight, but for all your support and sharing and all that of the show. We really can't thank you guys enough for everything, and really being our friends. So we love you guys to death. Well, besides Scott, but
Thanks,
the rest of you guys, you're cool.
That person in this room I don't respect. So. I love all of you. I think you all are great fucking people, and I appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Just remember, take the time to share these out. I know Chuck does, and pretty sure Scott does. I don't know Herm's activity on Facebook too much. I don't think Theo's got any major activity on Facebook either. But
No.
take time to share it, man. Share it with your friends because I'm a firm believer, and I'm gonna repeat this. If one of us make it, we all through something like this. Should this ever, big dreams or whatever, become successful and be fruitful, Bruce and I won't forget the people that helped make it all possible. You know what I mean? So
Actually, I might, because my memory is terrible. So it's not because I don't like you. It's just because I'm just terrible as a human being in my head. Anyway, so before I get to my underrated song per singer, I have a question because I don't know. Who sang on Seventh Star? On that Seventh Star album?
Glenn Hughes, wasn't it?
Was it?
I
Yes.
thought it was Glenn Hughes.
Okay. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I really underrated song, Seventh Star on that Seventh Star album for him. Tony Martin, all of it's going to be underrated because no one really knows a whole lot about Tony Martin. For Dio, I'm going to say underrated is going to be, I'm going to say Country Girl. I'm going to say Country Girl's underrated. I really do like that song. And
I love that song.
Yeah, and I can't believe I forgot about it. And then for Ozzy, I'm going to say, it's tough. But I'm going to say Backstreet Kids. I think that's an underrated song. I really like Backstreet Kids.
That's a killer song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeet, what do you got?
For Ozzy, I went The Writ. That's about their management. You can just tell he's anger. It's just, it's the tight song. For Dio, I consider underrated because it wasn't one of their big ones. Sign of the Southern Cross. I think he just does a really good job on it. For Tony Martin, let me see what I put down here. The Shining. They wrote it after the movie The Shining, and it's a pretty good song. It's got a nice melody to it.
Cool. Cool. Scott?
For Ozzy, it was a toss up between National Acrobat and Never Say Die.
Oh God, yeah, I love Never Say Die.
Never Say Die, it was different, it's more just kind of a straight up hard rock
Polished.
song.
Very polished.
Very polished, but it's still a good song. I still like it. As far as Dio, I don't know. That's tough. Mm. Turn up the night.
Did you have a stroke? Okay. Turn on the night. Okay.
Turn up the night. I was looking at my notes here. As far as the Tony Martin stuff, I don't really know. I can't. I
get it.
Yeah.
Nope, that works. Herm.
All right. For Ozzy, Junior's Eyes.
Oh.
And then for Dio, Slipping Away.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
nothing
God.
and nothing for Tony Martin. Sorry. he gets no love. I don't
Right.
I just
sorry.
never listened to him. I just never listened.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, we'll start with Tony Martin because
Get him out
we
of the way.
can't include Ian Gillan. I'm going to go with Devil and Daughter.
Okay.
But it sounds like it's underrated for him, I think, but really the song sounds like Yngwie Malmsteen without Yngwie. If you go back and listen to some of those Yngwie Malmsteen songs and you listen to Devil and Daughter, not to be confused with Devil's Daughter, but but it sounds like an Yngwie Malmsteen style tune.
Did he go work with
vocal performance is great.
Malmsteen at some point?
He could have easily been an Yngwie Malmsteen. He should have been.
Like back
When Black Sabbath was down, Yngwie didn't have nobody. I don't know. For Dio, because "Sign of the Southern Cross" is one of my favorite songs, I'm not going to include that one. But I would either say "Voodoo" or "Country Girl."
Yeah.
Nice.
And then for Ozzy, I got to agree with Herm. It's literally written on my list, "Junior's Eyes." Honorable mention, Blue is mentioning "Who Are You?"
Yeah.
It's the only song Ozzy ever composed.
Yeah. But Junior's Eyes, though, was written on my list.
Nice.
Most underrated Ozzy tune.
Sweet. And Chuck, what's funny, I almost picked Voodoo as my underrated, but I really like Country Girl. And I think a lot of people would just automatically overlook Country Girl just because of the title.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that Mob Rules is a superior album over Heaven and Hell. Just because you get less of the rainbow, deep purple-ish thing going on, and you get more of the doom and even faster, upbeat. And they did Die Young, which is my favorite Dio era Black Sabbath song. But it's just not off my favorite Dio era Sabbath album.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that Mob Rules from start to back, from front to back is all killer. And to me, there's a few songs on Heaven and Hell that have a little bit of filler vibe, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. All right, Tony. We're ending with you. You're the main event.
Tony Martin, Heaven and Back. Don't think a lot. If you didn't know the Tony Martin era, this is a great song. Valhalla would get the other mention, but Heaven and Black gets my top mention. Dio. Once again, I'm gonna have to give it up to After All, The Dead. I just think it was a stellar performance on his vocals. I love how slow and foreboding the song is. I love that it was a time that Sabbath was able to really they didn't really reinvent themselves, but they made themselves relevant among a scene that could have easily swallowed them up. And then most underrated song, once again, I'm gonna have to go with Changes. If you're not the usual Sabbath, you're not aware of Changes. And Changes only gained popularity after his daughter covered.
No.
Dude,
I mean, I remember it being on.
It never got airplay, dude. Changes didn't get airplay. You would have told me during that time frame when they're pumping all that good Sabbath shit out, if it ever made airplay, that Changes was going to be the fucking radio hit. It did not.
I heard Changes somewhere else. Like
But
he
that's
came
you.
on. I know,
that's
but I don't
It
know.
was
First
not
time I heard
on
it
the
was on
radio.
We Saw Our
It
Souls for
was
Rock
not
and
in
Roll.
heavy
It was
rotation,
kind of
no.
boring.
Yeah.
I just think it's a stellar vocal performance for Ozzy. I don't know if he really was experiencing what was going on and what he was talking about in that song right there. But I mean, I think we can all say that at one point in time we've lost love, and that's a pretty damn good song for the time era about losing love.
Yep.
You know, and to hear piano in a Sabbath song, you know, let's not forget that element. I mean, that was kind of fucking cool, and we usually are succumbing to the riff in Sabbath. There's no riff in Changes. You know?
No.
It was
there
them
isn't.
out. It was them going outside the box.
Yeah.
And I think it was done well. I just don't think it was received well at the time. Now, as Sabbath fans, we can appreciate that, but I don't think the usual someone walking into Sabbath and you hand them Iron Man, Sweet Leaf, NIB, and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and you go, "Hey, you should really check out Changes." That's gonna be a tough listen for.
You definitely wouldn't start with that one. You definitely wouldn't start
You guys
with
ready to rock? Well, hit it. Here's Changes.
it.
Followed by Solitude.
So yeah, there's my three, man, and I'll tell you, I can't think of any other band that has been through so many, or has such a vast career. I wanted to say this, and I've been wanting to say this all night. I can't think of any other band that has had such a vast career and has been able to change out such a pivotal member, such as a lead singer, and still continue to grow and have success. And I really want to pin that all down on Iommi, dude. I really do. I mean, I'm telling you, he is the Lord of the riff. And if you know anything that you're doing musically or listening to musically in the heavy metal realm, we can all thank Lord Iommi for.
True that.
Yeah.
All the down tuning, all the heavy riffs, the chunky riffs, we can give that all to Tony Iommi.
I agree.
Yep.
Sweet. Well,
All
guys, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An absolute lot of fun. It really brings home that old saying, time flies when you're having fun. It didn't feel like in any time at all. And again, I thank every one of you guys. This is a blast.
This is actually going to be a 3-hour episode, guys.
3 hours.
A 3-hour episode.
Seemed like it.
So it'll take a minute to get uploaded. And we'll do my best to get it uploaded tonight. Fuck. But
by the way, I'll just go ahead and post it on Facebook tomorrow. Just letting you know.
no,
I turned into a pumpkin here in about 15 minutes.
You are not going to be awake by the time this thing gets posted.
No. But again, thank you guys so much. It was a blast, and I really hope the next season we can all do something. Not obviously not the same topic, but
If
have
you
some
do
more
a Kiss
discussion.
episode, if you do an Iron
Trust
Maiden
me,
episode,
I need to get that guy right over there. I need to get him on board with that shit. I could an all Kiss episode.
Okay.
I think there's
I
enough
know there'll
people
be
in this
some
room that could
arguments
do a
there.
Kiss episode.
What'd you say,
there's enough
Herb?
There'll definitely be some arguments with the Kiss.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But I think
I
that
love
we could definitely
Love
do
it.
a Kiss episode, but what would we pertain that to? And if we were going to do that, should we continue to use the same people and let's just call the season finale the panel with the panel group of people? And what would we debate on Kiss? Would we debate on the masked era, unmasked era, the guys up there wearing AC fucking Peters makeup? I have real problems with
All of that.
all
Yeah,
of it.
yes.
All of it. You just
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gotta
answer is
condense
yes.
it down, you know?
Did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss? Yes.
Yes,
I
he
mean,
did.
yeah.
There's-
Vinnie Vincent.
I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Who?
my
They
bad.
fired him, didn't they?
Yeah.
But
So
I
yeah,
think-
all
I
that could
think
be
it's fair to
talked
say-
about. Yeah.
the end of season 2, we can look forward to the Kiss debate.
there you go.
And we've got plenty of time to come up with
It's
it.
set in stone. It's on the
set in
internet.
stone.
It's
It's on the internet. Kiss, you get your Kiss debate, dude. You get your Kiss.
That's right. Sweet guys.
All right.
Well, again, thanks again. And thanks for tuning in to Hook on Sonics Season 1. And we're going to take a little time off, tweak some things,
All right.
and we're going to come back bigger, badder than ever.
What's our
Slim, trim, fit, and ready for round 2.
what's our season 2 first show update? What day are we looking at there?
I believe it was around August 29th.
August 29th, we'll start reshooting or having new episodes uploaded. Bruce and I are going to try and work on kind of streamlining this process. But I'm going to be honest with you, Bruce. If we tend to do the season finale like this, it's probably best to keep the video footage.
Yeah, whatever. We'll work it out.
Okay, so
All right.
it's just nice to see everybody's faces and everybody can be familiar with who all's talking and what's going on.
Yep. Cool.
Gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. Folks out there in YouTube land, Spotify land, if you like what you see here, like, comment, subscribe. We want to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in.
If you're still awake,
Thank you for tuning into the first season. We know this one ran long. We knew it would. Bruce, my partner and cohort, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for doing this with me. It's been a blast. Chuck, I can't thank you
Thanks for
guys
having
and the
me,
guys
guys.
from Beyond Neptune having a great
With
great
it.
fucking show. I absolutely love these guys. Just real quick while we got you here, when's the next show in Columbus?
It's rumored to be July 28th, but I got to check on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Herm,
Shakers, Georgesville Road.
perfect. Herm, do me
But
a
I have to
favor.
double
Let's
check on that.
tell us where our listeners can catch you at again.
It was Spotify. We got a YouTube channel. It's got some live footage, but probably all of our music's available everywhere. Plus, if you come to shows, we got physical copies where you
Good.
can DM us and we can figure out a payment method. We can even send out copies. We have
Sounds good.
shirts. Got them cups.
I'm gonna need a 4X shirt.
a cup.
We got 2 X.
Next time you order shirts, get me a 4X, please.
Cool.
I'll rock the fucking hell out of it. Herm,
Sweet.
do me a favor. Tell me and the rest of the people out there listening where we can catch your show and your podcast stuff going on that again.
Okay, the video cast, which is on Vaughn.live, and you can catch that video cast every Wednesday at 7 to 9 p.m. That's Eastern time. And then my podcast, they're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The Tuesday cast is a live cast. It's 1 hour. It's on myvsradio.com. And then same thing for Wednesday. It's a pre-recorded show, but it comes on at like, I want to say 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's a 2-hour show. And it's on mybsradio.com.
Good. And thank you for joining us. Scott, let us
Thanks
know
for
what
having
you
me
got
on.
going
Yeah.
on.
New music coming. You know, we
What's
got
the word? What's the word on the Danzig project?
whenever you're ready, dude. I'm ready.
All right.
Are you guys going to be singing Elvis?
It's all Misfits.
Probably
tunes.
not.
It's all Misfits.
Thank God.
It'll be all Misfits tunes. Tony, depending on how well it goes and how much we like it, it may turn into something else, but it's a one-time deal. You get to see Tony perform a full Misfits cover with Scott and one of the members of the Nomads and somebody else you picked up. I can't remember offhand. So
Mike
it's a one-time
Armstrong.
deal, man. If you get the chance to come out, we're probably going to put about 30 minutes worth of 30 minutes.
Between 15 and 30. Yet to be determined.
So we're going to try and cram as many Misfits tunes in as quickly as possible. So, Steve,
Yeah.
what you got going on, brother?
Watching Star Wars, man.
Hell yeah. A shocker
Yeah.
coming in August.
All right. Once again, thank you guys for everybody listening. We'll see you guys at the end of August. Thank you so much for your support. And we look forward to seeing you guys next season. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Steve?
See ya.
Yeah.